somebody on that can break down the film that actually knows what they're talking about. And I replied at like 2:13 back to LD from McMinnville on the text line, because when you text the text line, I can text back. And I texted back to LD and I said, what do you mean, like Trevor? Like when Trevor Matich comes on our program? Trevor Matich, who played in the NFL, was a first-round draft choice of the Patriots. They won an AFC championship. Started at center in the NFL. He started at guard in the NFL. He started at tackle in the NFL. Tom Brady's first year, the year that he took over the Patriots and they ended up winning that Super Bowl, they played at the Falcons. And Trevor was doing the game on CBS. Now, we know Trevor has been on ESPN for forever, and Trevor has been doing 4:30s on 102.5 The Game on Tuesdays longer than I have been doing afternoons on 102.5 The Game. And I feel like I've been here for forever. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I feel that way. So Trevor yesterday, I asked him, how'd you feel against the Chargers about Henry and Tannehill's performance? All things considered, here's what Trevor said.
I would give both of them an A+ in this game, maybe an A++. And if I can give a higher grade, I would. Tannehill was just, I thought, magnificent given the fact that he didn't have the running game that he normally would have with the average offensive line. Although they were able to move the chains and they did some good things and there was somewhat of a running game, but it wasn't like it could have been with a better offensive line. And he didn't have the pass protection. Derrick Henry was just magnificent because there were essentially no holes there. He just found what amounted to a place that was less blocked by the defense, less stuffed by the defense, and then he mashed into that spot, and then he drove the pile forward for 3 yards, 4 yards. And that was enough to move the chains and have a pretty good third down conversion rate and allow play action pass to work. And so I thought those two guys carried this offense in a major way.
Okay, A++. And he would give them a higher grade if he could. Trevor Matich is telling you, you could not ask for more from Ryan Tannehill or Derrick Henry against the Chargers. Now, it's amazing because from all your texts and your calls this week, there's been a lot of complaining about Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, which makes absolutely no sense to me. But I couldn't have said that better myself. I thought an A+ performance from Tim Kelly. I thought an A+ performance from Ryan Tannehill. And I thought an A+ performance from Derrick Henry. And yet at the same time, it wasn't like the Titans won 42-14. It wasn't like the Titans went out there against the Philadelphia Eagles or the San Francisco 49ers or the Kansas City Chiefs, or this is an 0-2 Chargers team. And you won the game by 3 points in overtime. This is a Chargers team that everybody around the country is demanding fire its coach. Now, it's not just about what happened on Sunday or the previous Sunday, but everybody's looking around the landscape of the NFL and they're saying, fire the coach. Get rid of Brandon Staley. He has to go. He's terrible. That performance on Sunday was so bad, so unacceptable. How could they do it? And so then I have to ask myself, can the Titans keep this up for 15 more games? Can we really expect the Titans to get an A++ performance from Ryan Tannehill and an A++ performance from Derrick Henry for 15 more games? You will play better teams on your schedule than the Chargers. Now, the Chargers are 0-2, but going into the year, they were a playoff team, and people thought the Chargers were a team that, was going to compete this season, and half the reason why everybody wants to fire Brandon Staley is because the Chargers are not. But, again, it's not exactly like they're the Buffalo Bills or the Cincinnati Bengals or a team that has had a lot of success in the kitty. And what's coming up on the schedule? The Bengals, the Ravens. You're going to play some good teams this year. Seattle. Everybody seems to think Jacksonville's very good, although Jacksonville did not look very good on Sunday against Kansas City. Tannehill got the crap beat out of him on Sunday. I mean, I don't know how many times he got hit, but it was a lot. The fact that he got sacked, what was it, 5 times he got sacked, and then he had 2 roughing the passer penalties? So that's at least 7 cracks at him right there. He took a shot on the option play for the touchdown into the end zone. And then how many other times did he take a crack where we were looking at the ball and looking at the receiver and the camera had moved? So at a minimum, I think we can assume Tannehill got rocked 10 times the other day, including one by a free rusher on 4th down where the guy just absolutely annihilated Tannehill. You think Tannehill can take 15 more games of that? Tannehill got crunched up pretty good in that Saints game. And this week, it's the Cleveland Browns. They have the number 2 defense in the NFL. They've got 3 good defensive linemen. They got great linebackers. They're going to go pop Tannehill too. You're playing on the road. Cleveland's a very loud environment, kind of like New Orleans, which means you have to go to the silent count where the guard has to throw his hand behind the butt of the center so the center can snap the ball to the quarterback, which means Myles Garrett is going to be flying off the edge at the same time that Chris Hubbard sees the ball go so that he tries to get up and stop him. And even in an A++ performance, the Titans won by 3 points in overtime. Now, what Vrabel will probably tell you if you were to ask something along the lines of, how does this get better? He'll probably tell you, we got to coach them up. We got to make the corrections. We got to work on fundamentals. We got to this, we got to that. And he is right about that. And I do think that there is some value in Vrabel's experienced this as a player because this is what the Patriots always used to do. And this is what the Titans, for the most part, have done since he's been the coach, which is improved throughout the course of the season. You get better over time. But I'm not sure you get that much better. Now, at the same time, the Titans got an A++ performance out of Ryan Tannehill and barely won. The week before, the Titans got an F- performance out of Ryan Tannehill, and they barely lost. So at least there's some optimism, I think, that could be had from that. But I continue with the philosophy here, which is if Tannehill and Henry and Kelly and the receivers and everybody else and the defense, if everybody has to operate around giving their very best every game, because your offensive line can't block, I'm not sure that's sustainable over 17 games, and I'm not sure that's sustainable over 4 months. Last season, the Titans were 7-3. The offensive line was just as bad last year as it is this year. I'm not going to say that it was if you can't be better than last year, and last year I think is one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen from the Titans outside of the Ken Whisenhunt era, I don't know how you're gonna survive the season because the Titans were 7-3, and then the schedule got a little tougher, right? Cincinnati, Philadelphia, the Chargers on the road. But what happened? Injuries. Danico Autry at Green Bay. Christian Fulton, David Long, Treylon Burks at Philadelphia. Injuries are going to happen this season too. And the Titans couldn't win any more games. Offensive line was terrible, had some injuries there. Quarterback got injured, I think, again, in large part because of your offensive line. You couldn't make it through 17 games. So, as happy as I am about Tim Kelly getting up to the podium on Thursday of last week and explaining his failures in that Saints game, to see him go and do a 180 in the Charger game with great play calls, setting up great opportunities at just the right time, with Tannehill, who last week couldn't stand to talk anymore about the Saints game. Should be noted in his press availability today, he did not shut down questions about the Charger game. So last week, he didn't want to talk anymore about the Saints game, but this week he was okay talking about the Charger game. Not sure I really like that mentality. But if you're getting the best out of him, you're getting the best out of Henry, you're getting the best out of Kelly, and it's just barely enough to get you over the top in overtime against an 0-2 team, then everybody thinks should fire their coach? You got to improve, and you've got to improve quickly. Because the Cleveland Browns, they're not a very good team in terms of, are the Browns going to be one of the best teams in the NFL this year? Could the Browns compete for the Super Bowl? No, they can't, and they won't. But they're a good team from the standpoint that they can beat you. They're a good team from the standpoint that they got the number 2 defense in the NFL right now, and they've got a coordinator who you know as well as I know knows your weaknesses and is going to pop you right square in the mouth on Sunday. So even though I'm happy about the way Tannehill played, because I do feel like the Johnny Cochran of Ryan Tannehill, high-profile guy, everybody in town wants to throw him away or throw him in jail and throw away the key just like OJ. I was the one who was standing up saying, hold on now. I know the Saints game wasn't good. I know the evidence wasn't pretty, but he didn't do it. It's not his fault. And I was the only one in town saying it. And so as glad as I am that at least for now he's been acquitted by you guys because he had a great game on Sunday against the Chargers, I am concerned going forward that you got the best out of him and you barely scraped by. Can we really expect A++ from him, Henry, and Kelly the rest of the season, if that's what it's going to take with this offensive line? 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025 here on the show. By the way, LD from McMinnville says Trevor doesn't count, Ian.
Well, I think he should count. Who else counts if Trevor doesn't?
He said, I love your show as well, but prefer someone local to look at the Titans film purely because that's their main focus. I mean,
Trevor is local.
Trevor is local. Trevor has, I think Trevor probably likes Washington the most because I think that's kind of, where he played his best ball in the NFL. But, on Sunday, Trevor's watching the Titans, folks.
I think he lives around town now.
Trevor does. He's always lived in town.
Yeah. So he watches the games. He knows he comes on here, so he watches it.
Trevor's texting me during Titans games. He's texting me during Titans preseason games. He was texting me during the Patriots preseason game, trying to figure out how he could watch it. He was in a hotel in Bristol to do college football for ESPN. He's trying to watch Titans preseason game. Come on, LD. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. By the way, a texter asked a great question yesterday that quite frankly left me stumped. And I have thought a lot about that text. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in, again, that phone number is 615-737-1025. Sounds Baseball, of course, you can listen to that on 94.9 The Fan. Get excited about that as they take on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins, tonight at 6:35. By the way, we'll be at the game tomorrow, so be excited about that. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan is presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans and by Family Leisure. And tune in to MTSU football on 93.3 Classic Hits this Saturday as the Blue Raiders will kick off at 6 at home against Colorado State. Boy, I know all about Colorado State now. Pregame begins at 5, and you can hear all the coverage on the 93.3 Classic app and at 933classichits.com.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Love wings but think they're not spicy enough? Twin Peaks has a new wing sauce just for you. Have your wings sauced and tossed in the new Hot as F sauce. Their hottest wing sauce yet. Can you handle the heat? Twin Peaks in Cool Springs and Madison.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Viraggio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero-interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Seems like everything costs more these days. Food, utilities, medical costs, you name it. But as prices go up, our family budget stays the same. Fortunately, with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Core Choice coverage, we can save $3,600 a year compared to the leading competitor. And we've got better coverage with a lower premium, lower deductible, free telehealth visits, and access to one of the largest networks available. Start saving today at fbhp.com or visit your local Farm Bureau office.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of two, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Trevor, what'd you think of the offensive line?
Ugh. Oh, the offensive line, bless their hearts. They fought hard. But they, as a group, got overmatched in a pretty bad way. I was very impressed with Tannehill. I mean, he completed 20 of 24 passes. That's like around 80%. And that was magnificent, given that on any given drop back, he knew he was going to be.
There you go. That was Trevor. By the way, LD from McMinnville has said that he didn't know Trevor was local, so he concedes that point. And Trevor, I think, is probably the biggest offensive line guru that you'll find in town, having played it for so long and broken it down. And that is not a good spot to be in. And a texter said yesterday, texted in, and this text has stuck with me, the offensive line, or is all there is for us to do is just sit there and bitch about it every day. And at the time, yesterday, I said, I mean, all we really can do is complain about the offensive line. And I thought about it all night. And I tried to put myself into Mike Vrabel's shoes, right? I tried to empathize here. And I tried to think, okay, if I'm Mike Vrabel and I'm trying to fix the offensive line that is one way or another my fault. Everybody's going to blame John Robinson because that's the most fun thing to do. But the idea signing Andre Dillard's not John Robinson's fault. Brunskill was not acquired by John Robinson. Hubbard was not acquired by John Robinson. Aaron Brewer's $4.3 or $4.7 million contract, whatever it is, it's 4 point something, whatever it is, that wasn't John Robinson's doing. And drafting Peter Skoronski and playing him at the least important position, that wasn't John Robinson's fault either. So you can blame Robinson all you want, but again, this is Vrabel's team now. And so if I'm Vrabel, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, okay, what can I do? And I'm really not sure there's much of an answer there. He was asked today about the offensive line and about Dylan Radunz's improvement and bringing Skoronski back in. And, I think he said, well, there's a lot of football to be played before Nicholas Petit-Frere, a.k.a.
PT.
Before PT returns, which PT will be back in 4 games, and we assume that Skoronski will be back. And so I think they're kind of banking onto that, right? Like, yeah, our line stinks, but we get Peter Skoronski back, and we get PT back, and Hubbard's playing well, and maybe that'll help us out a little bit. Long story short, for that text yesterday that I've been thinking about for the last 23 hours, I'm completely stumped. What can the Titans do between now and, I'm not going to say Sunday against the Browns, but just now and whatever, what can they do to fix the offensive line? And like I said yesterday, those are March problems. They're not September problems. Last year, you found yourself in the exact same spot. Now, if you want to blame John Robinson for that, you absolutely can. The Titans let David Quessenberry go when they could have tendered him for $2 million. They let him go into free agency as their starting right tackle from the 2021 season because they thought Dylan Radunz could be their starting right tackle in 2022. They got to training camp and they realized Dylan Radunz couldn't be their starting tackle. They drafted Nicholas Petit-Frere in the 3rd round, but I think they did that for him to be the swing tackle so that they could eventually have him be the guy to replace Taylor Lewan at left tackle. But he got thrown into the fire well before he was ready because they didn't have anybody else to play tackle. Aaron Brewer, they thought could play left guard at 270 pounds. Aaron Brewer really can't play guard well at 270 pounds. So the Titans went into last year with no left guard and no right tackle, and it was way too late to fix it when they were in the middle of training camp and realized they had a problem. Then their left tackle tears his ACL, and so now they don't have a left tackle. So they went from the end of the 21 season when they had a $15 million left tackle, they had a $12 million Pro Bowl left guard, they had a right tackle who, again, wasn't great. He was more of a backup than he was a starter, but at least he could help you out a little bit. And in the offseason, they just let the Pro Bowl guard go and let the right tackle go, and they didn't really replace him. So then they get to September, they have an injury, and they're stuck with Dennis Daly. And as we learned last year, when you get into September with these kind of problems, you can't get out of it. Nobody around the NFL is looking to offload a great tackle for free right now. Nobody's looking to do that. And you want to trade your first-round pick for an average tackle that somebody doesn't want? Great. Now you just gave away the 14th pick in next year's draft. You don't want to do that. So if you were to ask Vrabel, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but if you were to ask Vrabel that same question that was texted in yesterday, again, so what can we do to fix the offensive line, or is it just going to be us complaining about it every day? Vrabel would probably answer with, well, we got to coach them up. We got to look at the film. We got to correct it. We got to get on the field. We got to work the fundamentals. We got to be tough. We got to be physical. We got to be determined, but we got to coach them up and we got to, get better every day. And there is some truth in that, but you're not going to make Andre Dillard Trent Williams. It's not going to happen. So I guess the other option would be hop in a time machine, go back to March, and bring in Connor McGovern, who wanted to be here, the starting center for the Jets, Mike McGlinchey, the starting right tackle for the Broncos, who wanted to be here, bring one of those guys in here, and either that or I guess get some new players. But I wish I had something more positive to say, but when Trevor Matich, one of the nicest, most optimistic glass half full guys that I know out there, a former offensive lineman in the NFL, gives you well, they tried hard on Sunday. That should scare you. When you've got to play Myles Garrett this week, that should scare you. I know it's scaring me. Your phones are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com at 615-737-1025. We are to them. Plus, Mike Vrabel asked about Chris Hubbard versus Myles Garrett. We'll get to that on the other side. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in on the program, again, that phone number is 615-737-1025. Hey, be sure to join us for the pregame show, the award-winning pregame show, this Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30 with me and former Titans receivers Chris Sanders and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs. We'll be breaking down the Titans' Week 3 road matchup against the Browns and give you the latest info and updates before the game. And the pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and The Beast Unleashed.
All the big plays.
Rebound, try out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville. You know what time of year it almost is? Spooky season. But we're not about scaring your kids. We want them to have an amazing Halloween experience. That's why we host one of the largest trunk or treats in Middle Tennessee each and every year. And this year, we're back to hosting in person, not as a drive-thru anymore. Get ready with your best costumes and walking shoes because on October 29th, from 3 to 5 p.m., we'll have 2 hours of trunk-or-treating, contests, pizza, and of course, a whole lot of candy. We can't wait to have fun Sunday afternoon with you, rain or shine. Mark your calendars for October 29th from 3 to 5 p.m. at Newton Nissan South, 2801 Highway 231 in Shelbyville, just 15 minutes from Murfreesboro. That's October 29th from 3 to 5 p.m. Follow us on Facebook to stay up to date. And don't forget the website, newtonnissansouth.com.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, former quarterback for the Houston Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler, and member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As a former player, I've always focused on my health. Did you know about 1 in every 3 people in the U.S. will have shingles in their lifetime? Shingles can cause nerve pain and can last for months or even years. As we get older, our risk of having shingles and its serious complications increases. Getting the shingles vaccine is the only way to prevent shingles. Join me and gear up against shingles.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Green right, box 2 run, double K.
He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, tight.
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Ratings that these analytics sites can put out are not necessarily gospel, but both weeks Chris Hubbard has seemed to grade out fairly well. How's he done in your eyes and at that right tackle spot?
I think Chris has been efficient and has played some winning football and, he's done some good things for us and kind of, like how he's come in here and worked and prepared and love his attitude. And, so again, it's off to a good start.
Garrett maybe different than what Chris has dealt with so far?
I don't think there's too many guys walking the earth like Miles Garrett, so we'll be in for a huge challenge.
There you go. That was Vrabel. It's like, so how's Chris Hubbard done? He's done pretty well. And Hubbard has done well. Like, Hubbard is, again, he of the 5 guys on the line, he might be the one I am least concerned about. But it is hilarious that then it's like, well, so how's he going to do against Myles Garrett this week? Myles Garrett's a little different. Let's go to your phones as promised, 615-737-1025, and our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Michael is up next on the injuries. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. So the past couple of years, we've been on the very short end of the stick with the injury bug, and I'm knocking on wood when I say this. It seems that, at least through the first couple of weeks, that the injuries are somewhat turning in our favor because we haven't had to go up against the Saints' best player, Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler. Now we don't have to go up against Nick Chubb, and I'm hoping for the best for him because that's terrible what happened to him. And Joe Burrow tweaked his calf injury. We play them week 4. I'm knocking on wood as I say it, but it seems like we're on the beneficiary of the injury virus as of right now.
I would hold off on popping the champagne cork until maybe after week, 14. Thank you, Michael. Than I would after week 2. I hear what you're saying. I mean, you just lost your offensive line's terrible, and you lost your best offensive lineman on the eve of a game to an appendectomy. So it's not like everything's been perfect. You went out there last week without your starting safety and your starting corner, who, by the way, almost seemed to never, ever, ever be healthy. So it's not like DeAndre Hopkins didn't practice last week because of an ankle injury. Now, he went out there and played, but, it wasn't the same DeAndre that he was against the Saints. So I wouldn't get too excited about that yet. And if Tannehill, and I will continue to say this about the offensive line, if Tannehill keeps getting popped for 15 more games the way he's gotten popped the first 2, he's not going to make it through the season. I think a lot of you are convinced that Tannehill is injury prone, and I don't understand where that comes from because since Tannehill's been here, he's only missed the games that he missed last year when Nicholas Petit-Frere rolled up into him on the ankle, and then he re-injured the ankle again. I mean, Tannehill's played something like 70 games as the quarterback of the Titans, and he missed, I think, 5 last year. So it's not like, again, Tannehill is injury prone. And Tannehill will stand in there and take a lick, and just like he did yesterday on the option on Sunday, taking the pop that he got there from Derwin James at the end, he's willing to do that. But I don't think he can do that for 15 more games and he be okay. Kevin is up next on the offensive line. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, Jared. Long-time listener. Love the show.
Thank you.
Really miss Floyd being on there, and sorry about your loss, but it's still a great show. But I did want to say one thing about the offensive line, that I think there is maybe some hope. Couldn't it be true that Peter Skoronski, as he develops and gets better, can help Andre Dillard get better as he's getting better at his position? We get Petit-Frere back. I don't know how that helps Hubbard out, but maybe a little bit. And as they grow together, I think there is some possibilities of it getting better. What's your thoughts? I'll hang up and listen.
So I think there is absolutely no doubt. Thank you for your call, Kevin. There is absolutely no doubt that when Peter Skoronski returns to the lineup, that the offensive line should be better because Peter Skoronski is the best offensive lineman that you have, period. And I, again, don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we're in total agreement. The problem with Skoronski being able to help out Dillard is that where they really need they really like Brewer. The problem with Brewer is he's too small. So whenever they put one of those big 330-pound war daddies on Aaron Brewer, he's going to get pushed back. And if you're going to try to run the ball with Derrick Henry, that could be a disaster. So what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to double-team block that guy, and that's going to be Skoronski. So I'm not sure he necessarily could help out Dillard. And again, tackle is more of an island position anyways. I don't think your tight ends are effective blockers for the most part. Wesco maybe a little bit, but he does so much to hurt your team, whether it's by dropping the football or committing false starts, that I'm not sure I really see a positive there. Wiley stinks, and I do not think that Chig is a very good blocker. So it's, it's just really hard for me to see a way to say, okay, Skaronski's going to come in and magically fix Dillard and Brewer's deficiencies. I don't know what the Titans' plan is going to be when PT comes back, because quite frankly, I didn't think Nicholas Petit-Frere was very good last year. And then he played against like the fifth string of the Chicago Bears in that first preseason game, and he was horrible. I mean, like it was almost like he wasn't trying in that Chicago Bears preseason game. It's like he went out there and was like, well, I got to play with the third string. I mean, I'm not going to give my best effort. And I hope that's not true, because that's a real loser mentality. But I also kind of hope it is true, because I'd much rather it be that he wasn't trying hard and that's why he got whooped by the Bears' eighth string, than it being the fact that the Bears' eighth string whooped him at the end of the first preseason game. So I'm not sure I'd move Hubbard off the tackle position. Now, I don't think PT's ever played guard, and so do you move him to left tackle and take Dillard out? And I think Vrabel, kind of hinted at the idea that there's a lot of football to be played between now and then, which means guys could get hurt. And so it's kind of hard for me to envision that there won't be a need that when Petit-Frere comes back, it's like, oh, no, put him back in there, because there's some spot for sure for him to be in. Texter says, I'll never forget, this is Andrew, I'll never forget the last Browns game. Top two running offenses in the NFL, and then the Browns ran it twice and threw for over 500 yards. I, personally, Andrew says, was not worried about Nick Chubb. That game was a bad game. Now, I am worried that the matchup is bad, but your defense is much better than your defense was then. I mean, that was Baker Mayfield going bananas on like Breon Borders with no pass rush against him, and you still kind of had a chance. I want to say the Titans, that last Browns game he's referring to was in 2020 when the Browns came in here and just beat the crap out of the Titans. I want to say Derrick Henry fumbled early in that game that like led to the Browns having a 17-0 lead in the first quarter or a 21-0 lead, and the Titans were chasing the game the whole time. They were finally back in the game, and Tannehill throws a pass to Adam Humphries that hits him in the hand, and it pops up into the air and it gets intercepted. And, I mean, it was an all kinds of bad game. Then the Browns were trying to run the clock out, and they fumbled the ball, and I think Amani Hooker took it back in for a touchdown. But I think I'd already left the stadium at that point because they were getting beat so bad. That was the only game I went to during the COVID year. And that was a freaking beatdown. And I remember one play, too. There was a third down. Now, I've already told you guys that I don't think the Titans can pass protect on 3rd and 13. And so what is traditionally low percentage for everybody else is 0% for you. But David Quessenberry was playing left tackle because Taylor Lewan had torn his ACL, and it was a 3rd down and long, and Tannehill was lined up in the shotgun. And I just watched Myles Garrett line up on Quessenberry, and I was like, well, let's see how this goes. And Myles Garrett just ran right around Quessenberry and sacked Tannehill. And I wasn't like, I'm not mad at Quessenberry for that. Like, he's a practice squad tackle, and that's Myles Garrett, the number 1 pick in the draft. That's what's supposed to happen. But yeah, I'm a little worried about something like that happening again. Texter into the text line says, I love the show and I love your breakdowns, but you've been fanboying Herbert for 2 years. Now that the Titans beat them, they stink, but the Titans also stink because they beat them in overtime. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, first of all, I love Herbert. I think Herbert's still pretty good. But the fact that you scored 27 points in overtime against a team that everybody around the country is demanding fire its coach, when you got, again, what Trevor said was an A++ performance from Tannehill and Henry, makes me worried that if you don't get an A++ performance from Tannehill and Henry, that you're probably going to lose. So I'm a little concerned by that. One texter said, circling back to the Chargers game, do you believe that Derrick Henry had his A-plus game? I would say a B at best. The texter also earlier today said, at the beginning of the show, if a 25 carry for 80-yard performance is A++, then what is 100 to 125 yards going to be for Derrick? Recognize the play fakes to him were huge, but come on. I mean, I think Derrick played an A+ game. Where did Derrick mess up? The one time he got good blocking, he broke off a 23-yard run. Like, that's the whole point. You're saying, what if Derrick gets 125 yards? Is Derrick going to be able to get 125 yards with this offensive line? That's the question. When you went to New England in the playoffs, now, Floyd loved Bill, but he actually thought that Bill kind of blew that game a little bit. But you had an offensive line to where you could look at other teams and say, we're going to run the ball on you. You do not have that offensive line anymore. And we just went over all the money that you spent back then and all the money that you're not spending now on your line. One texter says, you act like Rand Carthon has zero control over this roster. In all fairness, for why I'm blaming Vrabel for the offensive line, first of all, Brewer has to be assigned to Vrabel because he loves him and is the only person in the world that would give him $4.5 million. But yesterday during a break, I asked Ian who is responsible for Dillard, and Ian said Vrabel, and I just kind of ran with that. So I'm standing by that. Ian, good call. 615-737-1025. Chris Sanders, what did he see? He joins us next from the Charger game. We'll get into the Browns game ahead of it. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Kentucky from First Bank Stadium. Coverage starts at 9:30 a.m. Kickoff at 11.
Your home for the Commodores is 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's time for another Kubota Field event hosted by Coleman Tractor of Nashville. Our biggest sales event of the year will take place on Thursday, September 21st at the Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot. Stop by our booth to learn all about Kubota. Zero-turn mowers, utility vehicles, and more. Take advantage of Kubota's competitive financing offers, receive a coupon for up to $250, plus enter to win prizes. Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot at the Nashville Gun Club, Thursday, September 21st. The event kicks off at 7:30 a.m.
Hey folks, Joe Rexford here talking to you about PhD weight loss. I had a goal when I went to this program, losing 38 pounds, got down 39, then went past the 40 mark, but I'm in maintenance now, and maintenance is a fantastic plan as well. Keeping the weight off, losing the weight, no pills, no gimmicks, no other suppressants. This was a fantastic plan with a weekly coach call with my coach Rachel. You understand what is going on with your body in this process. The program is designed for you. Then it is tweaked for you. It is a plateau busting program. And if you've tried to lose weight on other programs, you know how it goes. You do it for a while, it might work, then you get sick of it, move on to something else. PhD weight loss does not give you that experience. You are going to stick with it. It's easy to stick with it, and then you're going to keep the weight off. You're going to know this is simple and easy. Again, you have a coach, and there's a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Join me now. You won't regret it. Visit myphdweightloss.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode, mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
First down for the 25. Again, this is a Titans team the last couple of years that haven't scored a lot of points. Tannehill to throw, looking long, looking for Burks. He's got him at the 20-yard line. And Burks is dragged down from behind by Asante Samuel. Well, that'll jolt the crowd.
If you watched last week's ball game, the Chargers against the Miami Dolphins, there were a lot of blow-bys, and this one is a great throw by Ryan Tannehill. He heaved this ball probably about as far as he could. Burks did a great job closing, and look at the outside room that he has to work with, and that ball is thrown right in stride.
I think they have to take a deep shot early in the game. Mm-hmm. You know, I think they've got to open the box up for Derek, and I think the guy to do that with is Burks.
But see, how do you take a deep shot when you, when
play action, you roll the quarterback out.
Yeah, but if you do a play action, you still but it ain't that easy, man. The thing about it is when you got an offensive line that is struggling, now you got your best lineman out, Skoronski. I don't care if you roll out. I don't care if you do a three-step drop. If you get hit in the face, it's going to be hard for you to get those plays downfield.
That was on the award-winning pregame show Sunday. Chris Sanders joins us on the program now.
Unbelievable.
What? I mean, come on now.
No, unbelievable. Out of all the takes, you put that one on. Unreal. That's cold-blooded, man.
I mean, I was sitting up there in the stands, and I see them throw the deep ball to Burks, and obviously you and Derek aren't there with me at the game, and I just want to take that, Derek. Take that, Chris. And then when Nick Westbrook-Akina caught a touchdown because he was my pick to click, I said, take that, Derek. Take that, Chris. Chris, what'd you think of the offense on Sunday against the Chargers?
Man, I thought it was outstanding, and it always starts with the man that's running the ship is Tannehill. He was 20 for 24, 246. But here's what I love about him is we always talk about a great quarterback and their skill set. I want to talk about the mental part of Tannehill. Last week he got dogged, and everybody talking about trading him and getting rid of him. But he stood tall and said, you know what, in spite of what you think of me, in spite of how I played against the Saints, I'm going to come back and beat you. I mean, that's what I love about it. And also what I love about it, too, is the plays downfield, the explosive plays that they had. You had 70 yards to Burks. You had 49 to Moore. You had 20 to Chig. He spread the ball around. He didn't make mistakes, and he looked like a good quarterback.
What do you make of the offensive line right now?
I mean, it's good at times, and at times it's real bad. And I mean, if you look at the pass that he completed to Burks, Tannehill had a clean pocket. I mean, he had a really clean pocket. But then you look earlier in the game, he gets sacked 5 times. So I just want to look at the offensive line that's consistent and that keeps Tannehill clean, but also have those running legs for Henry and Spears.
I do not think that Titan fans are giving Derrick Henry enough credit for his performance on Sunday. I know he only got 80 yards on 25 carries, but I believe Derrick is the engine, Chris, that makes this operation go.
He is, because if you look at some of the passes that Tannehill threw, it was coming off play action. So if you don't have a good running game, the play action is not going to work. That's the threat that Derrick Henry presents. That's the presence that he has on the field, that even though he's not having 100 yards, 200 yards, he's still an impact player. Listen, sometimes we get caught up in numbers. We think a guy, of his caliber that needs to have 140 yards a game. Yes, he's capable of doing that, but sometimes you got to look at what he's doing on the other side. He's got 80 yards. He's catching the ball out the field. He's good in pass pro. He's getting better at pass pro, but he's still an impact player, and that's why he's doing what he's doing.
Do you think with this offensive line, Chris Sanders, that the Titans will ever be able to, quote-unquote, impose their will with the running game?
I think it can happen. I mean, it's going to take time, and the way it's going to happen, it's not just the physical part of it. It's the communication part of it. And I'm going to talk about that. You look at the play where the linebacker was mugging the gap. When I say mugging the gap, or mugging, that means the linebacker's in the gap. You got to communicate to know where that pressure's coming from. If they can kind of clean up a little bit of things like that, they can play fast and use their skills. So if they can clean it up, I think the Tennessee Titans offensive line can be okay.
What do you think about the Browns this week? Number 2 in the NFL in total defense, number 2 in points allowed. We saw them on Monday Night Football against the Steelers. Jim Schwartz is the defensive coordinator, which, as you know as well as probably anybody, they're going to blitz the crap out of Tannehill on Sunday.
Oh, my God.
What do you make of this matchup with Cleveland?
They are going to blitz everybody, Jed. I agree with you 100%. And Schwartz is the mastermind. He's been in this organization for so many years. He was there when I was with the Tennessee Titans. So he's familiar with what's going on. But I think the offensive line, just like you said a minute ago, they're going to have to play big. They're going to have to go against Garrett, Tomlinson, Ellett, guys that are physical, that guys are going to hit you in the mouth. And then on the back end, you got Ward and you got Newsome, guys that can be kind of shut down corners. So it's going to be a big task for this offensive line and also the receivers, on the perimeter. But here's the kicker of the whole thing. If the Tennessee Titans don't make mistakes, and remember this, a punt is okay. Get field position, back them down at the 2-yard line, get a safety, and handle it that way. I don't know if you remember. I think it was I can't remember the year. I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago when everybody was talking about the Tennessee Titans couldn't go down there and beat the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns had, what was the quarterback's name? I forgot his name.
It was Mayfield. It was 2019. It was the opening game.
Yes, the opening game, and everybody's talking about the Tennessee Titans have a chance. But what was the turning point of the game? They kicked the ball to the 2-yard line. All of a sudden, there's a safety. Then all of a sudden, the Tennessee Titans just boat rolled the Cleveland Browns. That's the same thing the Tennessee Titans can do now.
Can I think one thing, though, about that does worry me is that Stonehouse, he can bang the daylights out of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he does not pin the other team inside the 5-yard line very often, Chris.
Yeah, he's got to do that. I mean, he's good at directional kicks. I mean, that's what you can't just be a kid that just kicks it 70 yards. That's great because sometimes when you kick it 70 yards and it rolls into the end zone, then you have a touchback. It makes no difference. So I think that the special team coach, who you love so much, Ackerman, he's got to teach him how to kick it to a spot. Don't just kick it real high and have a 60-yarder and then you outkick your coverage and they run it. Kick it to a spot, let it go out of bounds, and let your defense come on the field and make plays.
Chris, I do want to circle back to Tannehill.
Sure.
And the fact that today Tannehill was asked about, how quickly in the league you can go from being, the GOAT in one way to the GOAT in the other way, very quickly. And he said he doesn't read into that and he doesn't ride the wave and he doesn't worry about what's said outside the building. I don't believe that. I mean, the way that he played on Sunday, that looked like a guy with a chip on his shoulder. What did you think?
You know what, Jared, that's a great question, but here's what he had to do. He had to learn it. And when I say he had to learn how to overcome that, look at the year since when he lost to Cincinnati. He was absent for a long time. He didn't answer questions. He just went incognito for a while. And when he did his interview, he said this. He said he had to fight the demons that he was fighting. What is that? I had to fight the insecurities. I had to fight the doubt. I had to fight the things that people were saying. So the battle was won a long time ago. So now he gets into this situation where he has a bad game against the New Orleans Saints. Everybody's dogging him. Everybody's saying he can't do that. But the reason he could overcome that and play with a chip on his shoulder is because he developed that skill when he was in his dark moment. That's why I say this guy's a different quarterback.
How much do you fear the Cleveland Browns, not as, competing for the Super Bowl, but giving the Titans serious problems on the road on Sunday?
But see, here's the kicker, though. The defense is great. The defense is phenomenal. But when you got a quarterback that looks bad, I mean, the Deshaun Watson, he doesn't look like and I say this in a respectful way, I don't like to put guys down, but he just doesn't look like the quarterback he was when he was with the Texans. And, I mean, you look at how uncomfortable he was in the pocket, throwing interceptions, not protecting the football. So even though, the Cleveland Browns defense may stop the Tennessee Titans offense, I believe that the Tennessee Titans defense is going to come up with a pick six or a scoop and score, and that's where they're going to score a lot of points.
I mean, they had a pick six in the first game or the first play on Monday night.
Yeah.
I am with you on this, Chris, because last year a lot of people said that Deshaun Watson, he didn't play football for 2 years, and so he looked rusty. But how long does it go with Deshaun before maybe Deshaun's just not that good anymore?
No, if you look at when he was with the Texans, he was real slender. I mean, he was real swift-footed, I guess that's the word, and he can move around the pocket real good. And if the pocket broke down, he can extend the pocket, have his eyes downfield, and escape the fast defender. If you look at when they played against the Pittsburgh Steelers this week, they had some fast edge rushers, and he just couldn't get away because he looks like a heavier Deshaun Watson who really can't move. And just looking at his arm strength is still there, but I just think that he looks very uncomfortable. He looked like, okay, I just got to get the ball out. I can't go through my reads. I got this pressure, and he just looked like a happy feet quarterback.
Chris Sanders, as always, on the program. He'll be part of the award-winning pregame show on Sunday with the great analysis of, no, they can't play action, roll out, throw the ball deep to Burks.
Okay, I got a bone to pick with you, man.
He's going to hang up. He's going to hang up. Here he goes.
I'm not promising integrity. You said that I said that Tajay Spurs was better than Henry.
You definitely said that.
I said a doggone home run hitter, dang gummit.
You said he was better than Henry, and while Derek talked, I turned and just looked at you in disgust.
Oh, my goodness. If I had my hand, you were right there, I would tackle you, and I would kick you in the kneecap.
Are you going to football practice right now?
Yes.
What time's football practice start at NBA?
3:15.
Okay, well, listen to the next segment because we will investigate your claims. Chris Sanders, as always, joining us on the program.
Thanks, man.
Let's investigate Chris Sanders' claims here coming up because I know, Ian, when this was on Sunday, so we'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He knows the ins and outs of the Titans and isn't afraid to give his opinion.
Traylon Burks needs a massive offseason.
He's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick.
I don't see how they make a move without going to Ryan Tannehill.
Catch him every Monday at 10:30 on Chase McCabe and every Wednesday at noon on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Hutton is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Veragio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Get ready to elevate your game day experience. Titans fans, it's all happening at Mimo Bar on Titans Terrace. Just a short walk from the bridge at First and Demumbrian. They've got your epic pregame and postgame covered with their Italian classics and sensational cocktails. Your senses will be on a joyride. And hey, listen to this. Everyone at the Titans Terrace gets a chance to bag a Gibson Guitars merch bundle, a $100 Mimo postgame gift card, or a weekend brunch for two. So why wait? Mimo Bar, where Nashville's heritage meets Italian flavor.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. Watching your hard-earned dollars fly out the window on healthcare costs is so frustrating. But here's some great news. If you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing, a program out there can really help you with your medical bills, and it's worth taking a minute to look into. MediShare 65 Plus. It's not insurance. Members actually say it's better. It's a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith and where people encourage and pray for you. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. You choose any Medicare provider, and you get telehealth access anytime you need it. And this is great, too. Unlike health insurance, you can lock in one low monthly price for up to 10 years. So don't get stuck with increasing costs. Call MediShare 65 Plus and find out how much you can save. Call 888-SHARE-89. That's 888-SHARE-89. 888-SHARE-89.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl. You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing. And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Notes from practice for the Titans. This, according to TD, no sign of Peter Skoronsky. I think we understand that. Tier Tart or Anthony Kendall. Christian Fulton and Amani Hooker returned. No Harold Landry for the individual period. DeAndre Hopkins. TD's got a video of DeAndre out there running in these bright red cleats. And Traylon Burks was back out there with a wrap or a brace around his left knee. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on that. So those are the updates there. Now, in the last segment, Chris Sanders, Crazy Uncle Chris, on our program, said that I incorrectly claimed on the award-winning pregame show that he said that Tajay Spears was better than Derrick Henry. Now, Ian, do we have that audio ready? Because I did send you on a goose chase during the break here.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got most of the gist of what we were talking about here.
Okay, so I have not listened to this audio other than when I heard it when I was sitting down next to Crazy Uncle Chris on Sunday during the pregame show. Here's what he said.
He's the most consistent player on the offense. I think
he's the best.
I don't think he's the best player on that offense.
Who's best?
I think he's
Hold on,
the
pause it
most
for a second.
consistent.
So we're talking about Derrick Henry. My point is I think Derrick Henry's the best player on the offense, which, for the record, I don't think that's a controversial take at all. Go ahead.
He's the most consistent player on the offense. I think he's the best. I don't think he's the best player on that offense.
Who's best?
I think he's the most consistent player on that offense. I think, to me, the best player on that offense, and this is why I feel they got to find a way.
Ian, did you hear that?
I did, yes.
Can I rest my case, or do we need to listen to more to what Chris had to say?
Well, they went on to talk about, if you're a defense, are you more worried about Henry back there or Spears back there? And Derek and Chris were kind of making the argument that some defensive coordinators might be more worried with Tajay Spears back there.
I mean, I don't believe that, but that is different. Again, the question is, I said, who's better? And if you listen right there, Chris says Spears.
He said Spears, kind of. Yeah.
Get that one little snippet. Let's get right back to that little snippet if we could. And you tell me again, in the last segment, Chris Sanders said, I have a bone to pick with you because you said that I said that Tajay Spears is better than Derrick Henry. You listen to this. You tell me that he didn't say that. Who's better?
I think he's the most consistent
Oh,
player.
my God. Red-handed. Smoking gun. I hope Chris is listening right now. There is no defense of that right there. Is there?
Well, I mean, he said it right there. He went on to explain himself a little bit further on in the pregame show and a little bit here. Can't remember exactly what he said. Maybe I can find it real quick.
Well, let's, we believe in context, so let's see if we can find, a little bit of Chris Sanders trying to explain himself. Because once he said that, we're sitting at a table. Derek's on my left. Chris is on my right. And as soon as he just said, kind of that under the breath, Spears. When I'm like, who's better? Derek's the one kind of carrying the conversation. And I'm like, who's better than Derrick Henry? And he goes, Spears. As soon as he said that, I stopped paying attention to Derek, and I just turned my head over to Chris, and I just stared at him.
Okay, we have a little bit more here as the conversation carried on.
You did not say that. Continue.
is Treylon Burks. If you find a way to get him the ball, it's going to make Derrick Henry's job a lot easier.
Hey, let me ask you this, Chris, because I said Tajay Spears, and he lauged at me.
So
no,
hold on. I disagree with about 80% of what you said, but I was so focused on when I said who's the best player, and he said Spears.
No, hold on. Listen to me for a second. I'm not talking about, just like Derrick made a great point. The old Derrick of old is a beast. I mean, absolutely. But if Tajay Spears is in the game, I know you have Derrick Henry in the game. When somebody gets the ball, who scares you the most?
From a home run hitting standpoint, it's the young guy.
That's what I'm saying. See,
because it doesn't change. Jared, it doesn't. That's what I see now with Derrick Henry as I saw last year. Again, I think Derrick Henry is still the best runner of the football. Mm-hmm. But here's the problem with Derrick Henry because of the offensive line. He gets to the holes slower than Tajay Spears do. Tajay Spears doesn't. He needs just a crease because that crease is going to close very quickly, and sometimes Derrick Henry is not going to get through it. Tajay Spears will get through it when he bounces out. When he bounces outside, he gets there quicker than what Derrick Henry does. Absolutely. Derrick Henry bounces it to the outside. 2 or 3 people are coming. Are they going to tackle him? I don't know. But when Tajay Spears bounces to the outside, more than likely nobody's going to catch him. Why? Because they don't have the speed to match Tajay Spears.
Okay.
Only thing they got to work.
I think we get the gist of it, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, Chris absolutely is guilty of saying that Tajay Spears is better than Derrick Henry. And I don't think there are any qualifiers in that. I think he, right there, as we have entered into evidence, I think it is obvious that Chris Sanders is wrong. The second part of this, though, is, again, kind of what I felt like I was battling, which was, well, Spears is more of the home run hitter. Spears is faster. Defenses would worry more about Spears than Derrick Henry. And I completely disagree with that. And I'll tell you why. Because when Tajay Spears is in the game, they don't put 9 guys on the line of scrimmage. When Derrick Henry's in the game, they've got 9 guys sitting there in the box on every play. There's a reason why the 2 bombs that the Titans threw against the Chargers happened to be off of play action for Derrick Henry. I mean, the 3 biggest pass plays that they had, the 2 bombs, the one to Burks, the one to Moore, and then a 20-yard pass to Okonkwo, all came off of play action to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the offense. We played the cut before the Saints game, where Dennis Allen sat there and said, the number one thing that you have to pay attention to when you're playing them is that running back. And Derrick Henry still was the best player on the field in that game, ripping off 5 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, caught a 42-yard swing pass out of the backfield. Derrick ripped off a 23-yarder last week. Did Tajay Spears? I mean, I get this whole, hey, Tajay, he's faster. He's the guy to hit the home run. He's the guy who's ready for the – I'm sorry, did he hit a home run last week? Did he hit a home run running the ball against the Saints? Now, he's had some nice runs. He had an 11-yarder last week. He had a 17-yarder against New Orleans. But, again, those both came on first down. You want to know why Tajay Spears is effective running the ball out of the shotgun on first down? Because the defense thinks with him in the game, you're passing the ball. So it's a lot easier for him to get started than it is for Derrick Henry. And Derrick and Chris are not the only people that think this way. I mean, I read your text into the text line, and a lot of you guys, you think Derrick Henry's washed up. You think Derrick Henry's not good anymore. You think that, all Derrick did was get 80 yards on Sunday. I'm like, Derrick Henry got 80 yards on the ground. Derrick Henry added in the passing game. And Derrick Henry, the 70 yards to Burks, the 49 yards to Moore. You need to give some of those yards to Derrick Henry because if you don't run the play action fake for him, there's going to be safeties over the top and you're not going to be able to make those throws. And so when you sit there and you tell me that Spears is faster straight line than Henry, I'll give you that. If we lined him up on the goal line and had him run a 40, I guess Spears would run faster. I mean, when I saw Derrick running on that screen pass against the Saints, he looked like the Derrick of old. And I've seen Derrick glide his way to the end zone many times over the years. But as far as, the question again, who are these defensive coordinators more worried about? I think they're more worried about Derrick Henry than they are about Tajay Spears. Because put yourself in Jim Schwartz's shoes, right? The defensive coordinator of the Browns this week. And Jim Schwartz knows everything about the Titans. Jim Schwartz was here for 2 years. Jim Schwartz was a part of the community for forever. Jim Schwartz knows the Titans. I guarantee you, he looks at his offense. No Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson's thinking it up. And he's thinking to himself, if Derrick Henry takes over the game, we lose. Period. Tannehill might hit a couple here or there, and we might not lose. Spears may break a nice run or two, and we might not lose. If Derrick Henry dominates the game, which is what the Titans want to do, we lose. So who should the coach be more worried about? I think he should be more worried about Derrick. And then when it comes to looking at how they play you, when Derrick is in the game compared to when Tajay's in the game, they are worried about Derrick Henry when he's in the game. When he's in the game, the defense plays differently. Remember what Floyd said in 2020 when there was all the talk about Tannehill or Brady? And all the commentators on TV were like, imagine Brady with Derrick Henry. And Floyd said, you're not running the Derrick Henry offense with Brady at quarterback. And he said he either wanted both Tannehill and Henry or he didn't want either guy because they need each other. Because Henry is the offense. Man, I feel like sometimes I'm surrounded by crazy people. And then for Chris to claim that he didn't say that Spears was better on Sunday, that's ridiculous too. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on this. 615-737-1025. Plus, the Henry-Spears dichotomy and how to give it to Henry, how to give it to Spears, There's one thing that I think we all have to understand. And we'll get to that coming up next as well. And there's just, one take of this that I completely, absolutely disagree with. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on the program. And let me tell everybody out there to tune in for Vandy football this Saturday. That's right. The Commodores will kick off at 11. I'm actually going to the game. The Commodores kick off at 11. And, of course, you can listen right here on 102.5 The Game, the 102.5 The Game app, and on thegamenashville.com.
New home. New energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards. Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
Catch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Oh, Charlie's, that's where you'll find me. That southern flavor got me saying, hey, y'all. Yum, yum, lots of fun. Share with the ones you love. Don't you want to roll?
At O'Charlie's, we thought you'd enjoy a little country rock and rolls. The warm, buttery, delicious kind. Served free with every meal. O'Charlie's. Oh, that's good.
Yum, yum, lots of fun. Charlie's, born in Nashville, and it shows.
Hey, it's Jared for PhD Weight Loss. I love the PhD Weight Loss program, and I am continuing to blow past the numbers. That's right. I'm getting close to my maintenance stage, and I did it all while enjoying the summer and traveling on vacation. But now that it's football season, I'm able to lock in on my nutrition thanks to the PhD Weight Loss program. I feel so much better about being in control of my weight, and I get excited when I continue to see my progress. And what's great is that PhD Weight Loss provides you 85% of the food at no added cost. That's no pills, that's no injections, that's no crazy workout program, but it is simple nutrition that they help you through. If you're someone who has struggled to lose weight, go online to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. You can learn about the program, the coaching, and of course, their guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss online at myphdweightloss.com.
The Nashville Oktoberfest is quickly approaching, and now's the time to get your dirndls, lederhosen, and party steins ready. From local breweries to live music and festival artisans, you can't go wrong celebrating this free family fun Germantown tradition. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2023, Thursday, October 5th through the 8th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prepare yourself for 4 days of brats, beer, live music, and competitions. VIP experience reservations are still available at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. Prost, y'all!
The celebration! One of the most beloved comedians on earth, Dave Chappelle, is hitting the road with a tour celebrating his birthday with you.
This Thursday, Bridgestone Arena.
You know who he is. You know what he does. Comedic genius Dave Chappelle. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com.
What a great birthday.
Celebration, Matich!
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I guess this is more specific on the Derek Tajay, I guess carries and snap counts and all that. Did that play out kind of ideally for you as far as how they both did their
just
thing?
want them both to be productive, and we know that, Derek's going to have to get his touches, and, Tajay can clearly help us as well, so, whether it's too little, too much, I sat in here before, Derek rushed for 2,000 yards, and he was getting it too many times. I don't know what to tell you.
With Tajay, how do you like the way? Because it seemed like he was.
You guys are chuckling. You're the ones that asked the questions.
There you go. That was Vrabel this week. And so apparently there's this whole big discussion about what to make of the Derrick Henry-Tajay Spears duo. And I heard Tim Hasselbeck on the Midday Show, and he was talking about, I kind of feel like with Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears, I kind of feel like it's Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard. That when Spears goes in there, it's fresh legs, and he just looks faster. And well, for starters, when Spears goes in, first of all, Spears should be fresh legs. He's not carrying the ball 25 times a game. Secondly, when Spears is in the game, you're telling the defense that you're passing the ball. So when they run, the defense is kind of surprised. Just like when Henry's in the game and you max protect and you've got 2 tight ends in there and you play action fake, the defense thinks you're running, so the linebackers hop up, and that's how Treylon Burks can run deep down the field and you can connect a 70-yard pass. But somebody sent this in. I like Mike Herndon. He writes for Kaharski's site. He's a good guy. I don't know Mike that well, but I know him well enough. I like him. And somebody sent this in where yesterday Herndon wrote, Titans rookie running back Tajay Spears currently ranks 4th in the NFL in yards after contact per attempt, and 2nd in missed tackles forced per attempt, and 2nd in Pro Football Focus's elusiveness rating metric. I don't want to have to get into, I don't want to spend every day talking about how I don't count on Pro Football Focus, and you shouldn't either, but elusiveness rating metric. Herndon writes, I actually think Tim Kelly swung too far the other direction this week with the Henry Spears usage. I don't. I don't understand what you guys want, right? So You give the ball to Derrick Henry 25 times a game, just like you've been giving the ball to Derrick Henry 25 times a game for the last 5 years. When you give the ball to Derrick Henry 25 times a game, you win. Most of the time, when you don't give the ball to Derrick Henry 25 times, you lose. I think that's pretty simple. Now, again, I don't think that the Titans should have used a third-round draft choice on somebody to just do the job that Dontrell Hilliard did last year, which is on 3rd and 9 coming into the game, and maybe taking a handoff every now and then. But for the most part, Hilliard was used as a pass catcher out of the backfield because I think you can just sign another Dontrell Hilliard to do that and pay them the league minimum. But Spears is doing more than Dontrell Hilliard did last year, and I'm fine with it. I like the fact that the Titans put Spears and Henry on the field at the same time. They run Spears to the left twice. The third time they fake it to Spears, they run the option, and Tannehill ends up in the end zone with a touchdown. But again, the offense is still led by Derrick Henry. What this is, touches in a football game are just like jump shots in a basketball game. And for years, Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant and all these guys on the Bulls wanted more jump shots. They thought, if I got as many jump shots and the opportunity that Michael Jordan gets, if I got the same opportunities, I might not be as good as Michael, but I'd put up 35 points a game, and McDonald's would want to be talking to me, and Coca-Cola would want to be talking to me, and Gatorade would want to be talking to me. But the truth is it would be stupid to ask Horace Grant to shoot the ball more. It's like Michael said in the documentary, that he doesn't want Bill Cartwright to have the ball. And for me, I think, Burks is good with the ball. I think Okonkwo's good with the ball. I think DeAndre's good with the ball. I think Spears is good with the ball. But all those guys are good with the ball off of Derrick. You don't build a team around Steve Kerr. You build it around Michael Jordan. The offense is built around Derrick Henry. If we were to go around the league and we were to say, okay, who here wants to build an offense around Treylon Burks? Nobody would raise their hand. Obviously, nobody wants to build their offense around DeAndre. He was a free agent, and we saw what happened there. Nobody's building their offense around Tajay Spears, and nobody would take Chig Okonkwo. Chig Okonkwo is not even a top 10 tight end in the NFL. So why would I want those guys to have the ball more and Derrick to have the ball less? Why would I go away from the formula that is give it to Derrick, fake it to Derrick, I win? Why would I go away from that? I mean, I know Derrick can touch it 28 times a game. And I think there will be a time and a place like the Chicago game in 2020 where the Titans were getting ready for a Thursday night game against Indianapolis and Vrabel took Derrick Henry out of the game. I think there will be times for Tajay Spears to get more carries. But I don't think that, I'm not taking the ball out of Derrick Henry's hands. Derrick Henry carried it 25 times the other day. I believe he caught 3 passes. They threw it to him 4. So that's 29 design touches for Derrick. That's fine. And then give Spears the other touches. And the more you do that, the more when you do run the ball with Spears, he'll be productive because the defense is going to think that you're trying to throw the ball when he comes into the game. But, I mean, this idea that, like, oh, man, this Tajay Spears is this unbelievable weapon that the Titans aren't using. It's like they've got Chris Johnson, in his prime on the bench. What are they doing? It's crazy. It's crazy talk. You give it to Derrick, you win. It's been that way for 5 years. Why would they change it up now? Why should they change it up? And so when I hear Vrabel sit up there and say things like, Derrick run the ball for 2,000 yards, and you guys ask me all these questions about why am I giving it to him so much. I'm like, the Titans, they hear this stuff. Like, they hear the noise, they read social media, they listen to the radio, they read the clippings, they do. They may lie like Tannehill did today and say that they don't pay attention to it and then reference everything that's said, but they do. And I don't want the Titans. I mean, I want it to be perfectly clear. Use Derrick Henry. Make sure that you give the ball to Derrick Henry. Derrick carried it 25 times, and in the pass game, again, was throwing 29 design opportunities for Derrick Henry. Perfect. It's great. And then Spears, 8 carries and 2 catches. 10 touches for him. Good. Like, that's how it should be. Derrick 3-1. I think that's how it should be. So I don't know. Again, you can go through the Pro Football Focus elusive ratings all you want. Pro Football Focus says that David Quessenberry was the best right tackle in 2021. You Pro Football Focus up your ass. I mean, that stuff drives me crazy. Just how much it's like, oh, well, this metric says that we should give the ball to Tajay Spears more than Derrick Henry. Okay, well, I've got a metric in front of me. It's called winning. And when you give it to Derrick, you win. And when you fake it to Derrick, you win. And when Tajay goes in, they don't treat him like they treat Derrick. And it helps him be successful, and then you win. It's like, guys, keep it simple. Give Derrick the ball. 615-737-1025. A lot of you want to weigh in on this, so we'll go to your phones next. 615-737-1025 here on Stillman and Company. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Campione's. Taste of Chicago, located at 401 Long Hollow Pike in Goodlettsville. Campione's is a family-owned, award-winning restaurant for Sumner County's best Italian dining and lunch spot. Try one of their Chicago-style hot dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, lasagna, homemade pasta, and more. Get half off a $20 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals while supplies last. And I'll say this, I read this yesterday, and immediately all day I was like, gosh, I just want Italian food. Especially since it's the best Italian food. Again, that's Campione's out there at 401 Long Hollow Pike in Goodlettsville. Ian, we may have to take a field trip over to Campione's.
I'm
Stillman
down.
and Company. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the beginning, they were applauded. The music that sold over 100 million records. Chicago, this Monday, First Bank Amphitheater. The music of Chicago. This Monday, First Bank Amphitheater. On sale now at LiveNation.com. Chicago, part of the Farm Bureau Insurance Concert Series. Buy tickets at LiveNation.com.
It's time for another Kubota Field event hosted by Coleman Tractor of Nashville. Our biggest sales event of the year will take place on Thursday, September 21st at the Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot. Stop by our booth to learn all about Kubota. Zero-turn mowers, utility vehicles, and more. Take advantage of Kubota's competitive financing offers, receive a coupon for up to $250, plus enter to win prizes. Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot at the Nashville Gun Club, Thursday, September 21st. The event kicks off at 7:30 a.m.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Viraggio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero-interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's about to start getting cooler, and it's time to start thinking about your heating system. You do not want to experience breakdowns when that first temperature drop happens, so it's time to get your heating tune-up taken care of. Luckily, happy half-off month at Hiller. Tune-ups are 50% off. This month, Hiller is making it easier than ever to tackle necessary home replacements by giving you 50% off select add-on items. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Whether it's college football,
Players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia.
Or the NFL.
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Matich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Matich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You're going against a run defense like that that's so good. Like, how much do you factor in, okay, I want to dictate what I want to do against them regardless of the outcome, or do you just look at it where you just kind of...
I don't want to throw the ball 50 times and think that we can beat the Browns by throwing it 50 times because they've got a good run defense. I mean, that wouldn't. I don't think that's the answer, but... we'll have to stay balanced and have to set up plays and hope that they complement each other. But, just because they're good against the run, I don't think we should pass it 50 times.
I do love the fact that Mike Vrabel's like, yeah, I know they're good against the run, and I know that they're the number 2 defense, and they've got defensive linemen that fire off the football, but that doesn't mean that we don't need to run the ball. I mean, we're still the Titans, right? And I remember a couple years ago, Titans were getting ready to play the Colts, and they had just beaten Dallas and New England to kind of save their season. This was when New England was good. They went to Dallas on Monday Night Football. They beat the Cowboys, and Kevin Byard ran into the star and did the TO, and then they beat the Patriots. Beat the crap out of them, the Brady Patriots. And they're getting ready to play the Colts. And I say, you know what the Titans need to do? They need to go to Indianapolis, and they need to play Titan ball. And Floyd was like, what is Titan ball? I was like, Titan ball. They need to go up there. They need to play their game. And, he, I've been doing this. I've never heard of Titan ball. But now I think if I say, hey, they need to go play Titan ball, I think you know what I'm talking about, right? Ian, you know what I'm talking about when I say Titan ball.
I think so.
And other than the fact that they didn't turn over the Chargers on Sunday, I think they played Titan ball. And so I want to go to Cleveland. I know Cleveland's got a good defense. I know they've got a great rush defense. Play some Titan ball. That means even with your terrible offensive line, you're going to need to be able to run the ball. Texter into the text line. Adam, phone lines, by the way, are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com at 615-737-1025. Adam says, with all the talk about running backs not being valuable anymore in the NFL, and I'm not saying that Derrick Henry isn't one of the best running backs, but do you believe that it is more of a fact that the running backs are needed to be successful in the league has evolved into something more like Spears and less of a bruiser like Derrick Henry? And I would argue with this. A lot of times people pick professions and they always say, well, there's no money in that line of work. But if you're the best at what you do, period, you're going to get paid. Like, we don't pay our public school teachers enough, but if you're the best educator, if you're the president of Harvard, you're making money. That's every line of work in America. So when it comes to, well, I really don't want to pay Josh Jacobs, and I don't really have to pay Josh Jacobs, that's a different discussion than whether or not you want to pay Derrick Henry. And the reason why it's different is because the Raiders are going to try to win a different way. There's only 2 running backs in the NFL whose teams win significantly and consistently because they're in there. And it's Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. But the difference is Saquon did it for 1 year. Derrick has done it for 5. Saquon can't stay healthy. Derek had one freak major injury. That's the difference. So when it's like, well, is the league moving more towards Spears? The league, yes. But the rest of the league doesn't have Derrick Henry. That's the problem. And plus, the other thing, too, with these offensive coaches and where the game is headed is everybody wants to get hired by throwing the ball. All of the top coordinators that get head coaching jobs, they're the guys who, for the most part, throw the ball. Except Eric Bieniemy. Everybody else, it's, we want a guy who throws the ball. We want a team, we want that offense. It's like my buddy Will Stein is the offensive coordinator at Oregon. They play Colorado this weekend. And I'm sitting there thinking, with the way that people are watching these Dion Sanders games, that if Oregon puts it on Colorado and scores 38 points, I think there's going to be a lot of people around the country that say that Will Stein, he should be the head coach at, insert Power 5 school here. Because that's how people think. And so the easiest way to get these jobs is to throw the ball up and down the field. Kellen Moore, the guru, the genius. He was on the other sideline this week. But that's because Kellen Moore throws the ball up and down the field. And that's what people want. But you can't do that with this team. You're not going to win with Tannehill throwing the ball up and down the field. Just like Vrabel said, well, just because they stopped the run doesn't mean we need to throw the ball 50 times. And he's right, because that's not Titan ball. Texter says, you were complaining since the Saints game that they didn't give it to Henry enough. They give it to him 25 times, and I've still been complaining for 3 days. I haven't been complaining about how much they gave the ball to Henry. What I'm complaining about is all the people that are finding flaws with what the Titans did. If anything, the Saints game, I feel like I'm vindicated for because I complained about the Saints game saying that they weren't giving Derek the ball enough. Then they played the Chargers. They gave the ball to Derek plenty, and they won the game. And now everybody's coming out of the Saints game, and whether it's Tim Hasselbeck or whether it's Derek or whether it's Chris Sanders or whether it's Mike Herndon or all these people are saying, they should probably give Derek Henry the ball less. I'm like, you people are crazy. So my complaining is not about what the Titans did. My complaining is everybody that has a problem with what they did because what they did works. So this idea of like, oh, they gave it to him 25 times and I've been complaining? I haven't been complaining. I'm complaining about the people that think that Derrick Henry isn't the guy who runs this team, that Derrick Henry isn't the reason that you win. That's what, like, I was talking to my dad about this last night about Tannehill. And my dad was like, and my dad really likes Tannehill because we ran into Tannehill at the airport one time. And I introduced my dad to Ryan. And my dad just thinks, and Tannehill was really, really nice to my dad. My dad just thinks Tannehill's the nicest guy in the world. And so my dad's always, kind of pulling for Tannehill, even though he won't say that's why. He's had a different outlook on Tannehill since that moment. But I was talking about how, after the Cincinnati game, I was on Tannehill's ass. And so now when I'm defending Tannehill, like I was after the Saints game, the only guy in town who would do it, when everyone else is like, oh, he looks old, he looks washed up, he stinks. I was like, guys, his line stinks, play calling was bad. He didn't play in the preseason. I mean, he's not, what are you supposed to do here? And I said the reason that I was defending Tannehill so much, and am still defending Tannehill this year, is not because I did a 180 on Tannehill. It's because when I was mad at him for the Bengals game was because he messed up. So he got the blame. But in the Saints game, I thought he was part of the issue, but I didn't think he was the only issue like everybody was making him out to be. So when it comes to Henry, it's like I'm not mad at the Titans for using Derrick Henry. I'm mad at the people that don't recognize and respect how good and effective Derrick Henry really is. All I ever hear are people that dismiss Derrick Henry. And it's not just Johnny Joe in the text line, but it's, Chris Sanders and Derek Mason on the pregame show. Texter says, fans should be happy that having Tajay Spears will help prolong Derrick Henry's career. Why worry so much about which one is better or getting more carries when they can just both be great? It's a very optimistic take there. I mean, I wouldn't say Tajay Spears is great, and I'm not convinced that Tajay Spears is going to prolong Derrick's career because, as we've seen and Nick Saban has said, Derrick Henry gets better the more you give him the ball. So for Derrick to be effective, he's got to be a high-volume touch guy. But I do think that Spears is a nice change of pace back. And I brought this up. The way you're going to have to win defense and running the ball with your two backs is a lot like the early 2000s Steelers when they had Jerome Bettis and Amos Zaraway. And I see a lot of similarities between Tajay Spears and Amos Zaraway. Texter says, what's the stat line for Henry when he gets the ball plus 25 times winning and losing? I don't know what it is, but Ian, wasn't it for forever like if Derrick touches it 20 times, the Titans are like 31-0?
It was a pretty big number, yeah. I mean, the record was very good when Henry was getting the ball.
I mean, I want to say that, I want to say that like they lost a game maybe last year early in the season where Derrick touched it a bunch. And it was like, this is the first time the Titans have ever lost with Derrick Henry touching the ball XYZ. Here's another thing that I was thinking about. I want to knock on wood before I say this. Well, you know what? Hold that thought. Plus, Chris Sanders has responded about being caught red-handed. We do need to get to Chris's response on his Tajay Spears take and your phones, which are loading up. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. Let's talk about Twice Daily. That's right. I went to Twice Daily last night, and I went to Twice Daily this morning. That's how much I love Twice Daily. In fact, you know, I'm always talking about how you can get what you want, get what you crave, the made-to-order stuff, and I'm like, oh, there's the kiosk right there. It's like something out of Star Trek, you know. You just put it in there, and boom. I mean, it's great. Celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with Twice Daily. They have store giveaways all month long, and all you've got to do is be a Twice Daily Loyalty Club member. That's right, Twice Daily app, you know, twicedaily.com/rewards. Get signed up for that if you're like me, and you've got a Twice Daily in your neighborhood and you go all the time. Between now and October 21st, get a free bag of Frito-Lay chips. That's right. So enjoy that. And plan a visit to the Nashville Zoo on September 30th. They have joined forces to honor the history, culture, and achievements of the U.S., Latino, and Hispanic communities. Visit the zoo on September 30th for the Hispanic Heritage Festival presented by Twice Daily and join in on a variety of festivities, including dance performances, a puppet show, a number of musical performances, and more. Find out more at twicedaily.com. Twice Daily, fresh all day.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Football is back, and so are the deals at Electronic Express. Come into any of our convenient locations and save big on 4K TVs from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, housewares, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 60 months special financing. Score amazing deals in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
C10 Nationals, the world's largest Chevy and GMC truck event, is coming to the Nashville Superspeedway September 29th and 30th. Packed with vendors and activities, autocross, swap meet, dyno, drag race, and more. Daily tickets $20 at the gate, and parking is free. More info at c10nationals.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Are you in the mood for authentic Chicago-style Italian food? Italian beef sandwiches, Vienna Chicago-style hot dogs? How about homemade pasta, chili, meatballs and marinara sauce, and more? Well, you need to check out this week's Nashville's Best Deal. Campione's at 401 Long Hollow Pike, Goodlettsville, Tennessee. Family-owned and featured on Tennessee Crossroads, this is delicious Italian-style food right here in Tennessee. Check them out now at thegamenashville.com/deals. Get half off now while supplies last.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I got a bone to pick with you, man.
He's going to hang up. He's going to hang up. Here he goes.
I'm not promising integrity. You said that I said that Tajay Spurs was better than Henry.
You definitely said that.
I said a doggone home run hitter, dang gummit.
You said he was better than Henry, and while Derek talked, I turned and just looked at you in disgust.
Oh, my goodness. If I had my hand, you were right there, I would tackle you, and I would kick you in the kneecap.
Are you going to football practice right now?
Yes.
What time's football practice start at NBA?
3:15.
Okay, well, listen to the next segment because we will investigate your claims. There you go. That was earlier today. We investigated the claims. Ian, do we have the little snippet where Chris Sanders said that Tajay Spears was better than Derrick Henry?
Yes, 1 second.
We'll give Ian a second there on that. But we did play the claims again. You know, Chris said, I got a bone to pick. You said that I said that Tajay Spears was better than Derrick Henry. Play the cut.
I think he's the best. I don't think he's the best player on that offense.
Who's best?
I think he's the most consistent player.
So he says Spears. Chris Sanders says, best player on the field, home run hitter. Thank you very much, in all caps. I won my case.
Somebody get Judge Judy on the phone.
I mean, Ian, come on now. Like, I know you love Chris. We all love Chris. But, I mean, I think we caught Chris red-handed.
I mean, he said, who's the best player on the offense? And D-May said, not Henry, pretty much. And you said, well, who's better? And Chris said Spears, real quietly. So I don't really know what he was getting at there, but it sounded like he said Spears.
Tim says, I wholeheartedly agree with Jared about Derrick Henry. I can't believe I'm even typing this. Derek Mason and Chris Sanders are on some other stuff. I'll say, I mean, I was sitting there during the pregame show on Sunday, and Joe texted me, because I'm guessing Joe was probably on his drive into the stadium, and Joe was like, these two guys have lost their minds. And I texted Caroline, and I was like, Derek and Chris both think that Derrick Henry's washed up. And she's like, what is it with everybody and Derrick Henry? Texter says, they are both good. Please don't throw me in jail for thinking that, Jared. I don't have a problem with you thinking that both Spears and Henry are good. I have a problem with you thinking that Spears is as good as Henry. That I have a problem with. Texter says, is Derrick Henry a Hall of Famer? The morning show called me dumb for saying he wasn't. I just don't think he's worthy of it, even though now everybody gets in. I mean, I think you can make an argument either way. It's like, was John Robinson a good general manager? I mean, I can make an argument, yes. The guy won 61% of his games as general manager of the Titans. That's the same as Bill Walsh when he was running the 49ers. He drafted 3 All-Pros in his first draft. He took the Titans from the worst team in the NFL to the playoffs. I think, 4 out of 5 years or something like that. I mean, they'd won 2 straight divisions and were on pace to win a third when they fired him. But then he also, busted on Wilson and busted on Radins and busted on Farley And the Farley thing was just ridiculous. And then the A.J. Brown trade was bad. So, I mean, again, like I can argue either side of this. And I think I can argue either side of Derrick Henry's Hall of Fame candidacy. The thing about Derrick Henry that is tough for me is I remember just how down I felt when Derrick broke his foot in that Colts game, because at that point it became, could Derrick come back for the playoffs, and how would Derrick look if he came back for the playoffs? But he was done really for the rest of the season at that point. And I knew, like, man, if he had had a third straight rushing title and 2 2,000-yard seasons, he would have been a lock for Canton. And you all know he was going to get that. He was going to have another 2,000-yard season. And so that was, I mean, I was sick to my stomach for him, thinking about, man, he was right there. I mean, I don't know if he's going to win another rushing title this year behind this line, but if Derrick does win a third rushing title after finishing second last year, maybe he's in. I mean, I think he should be in, but again, small market, not watched a lot on television, and he's a guy where the waiting the 5 years hurts, because as good and as dominant as he was at times, it's like people forget about that. Texter said, tell me the last time a team won a Super Bowl with a great running back. The Titans don't need Derrick Henry. They need a quarterback and an offensive line. The Titans can't win a Super Bowl running every play and throwing 2 picks a game. Well, I mean, I think that's a different discussion for a different day. Like I say, when it comes to fixing the offensive line, I think those are March problems. I don't think those are September problems. If you want to go away from Derrick Henry because you don't think you can win with a running back, which, while I'm not convinced that's the truth, I don't think you can win with a running back and Tannehill. Like, I think you have to be better at quarterback than Tannehill in order to win the Super Bowl. I think those are March discussions when you're talking about building your team. Derrick Henry will be a free agent at the end of this year. So when he's a free agent, then you can decide, do you want to bring him back? And bringing him back and making him the focal point of your offense, if you feel like doing that, well, should we do it because can we win a Super Bowl? But right now, I feel pretty confident in that's your best option. Wes in Clarksville says, if anything, I blame Tannehill for Henry not getting in the Hall of Fame. Derrick Henry hasn't not gotten in the Hall of Fame yet, folks. Where did this all come from, where everyone's decided Derrick Henry's not getting in the Hall of Fame?
Well, they had a big discussion this morning when Paul Kalarski was in studio with Robbie and Rexrod during the 8 o'clock hour. They kind of got into it hot and heavy about Henry and is Spears. I guess Kuharski wrote an article on his site about how Spears getting the extra touches could hurt Henry's Hall of Fame chances if he takes away too many yards. And so I think they just kind of got into a big discussion about Henry and running backs in the Hall of Fame today.
Texter says, if Tannehill wouldn't have screwed up the Bengals game, the Titans would have been in the Super Bowl, and that would have made a better case for the Hall of Fame for Derrick Henry. That is true. And I still think that the Titans would have won the Super Bowl if they had won that Bengals game. Texter says, when you talk about Titan ball, what you're really talking about is Fisher ball. Guess what, man? And I know I was against the Nick Folk trade. He's made all of his kicks so far, and I am hopeful that he will continue to make his kicks. Right now, Fisher ball doesn't sound too bad, especially this week. I don't want to give away Friday's 2 o'clock topic, but I do think I foresee on Friday, Ian. Do you want to take a guess what I'm about to get at here, Ian?
Are you referring to a old Jacksonville game plan, perhaps?
Yes. Yes. I'm thinking that you will hear the phrase run, 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 punt a lot on Friday's program.
First team to 10 might win this weekend.
Run, 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 punt. Run, 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 punt. Run, 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 punt. And if you are listening at 2 o'clock on Friday and you hear that same thing, now look, something could happen between now and 2 o'clock Friday. Somebody could get in a car accident. We can talk about that. Knock on wood, hope it doesn't happen. But, any number of things could happen. But if everything stays normal and the Cleveland week is going to go the way I think the Cleveland week is going to go. You are going to hear that phrase a lot at 2 o'clock on Friday, and just know that this was kind of thought out ahead of time. I was kind of surprised you pulled that one out. I mean, I really put you on the spot there.
I know. I don't know. I'm not sure where that came from.
But it was like right in the brain, and you didn't even think about it?
Well, I kind of had to think about it a little bit, but it popped in there quick enough.
Wow. Run, punt. Because, I mean, Deshaun Watson, man, he stinks right now. And
Although maybe I overheard you mumbling something of that during the break today or something that kind of clicked in.
Oh, you know what? I think it was when we were talking about that Vrabel cut, where Vrabel talked about how, we're not going to throw it 50 times just because they've got a good defense. And then I was like, man, Watson is horrible. And then I think we did kind of talk a little bit about that run, punt, which I am not against. 615-737-1025. A bunch of phones on this, but let's take a little Titans breather. Coach Prime is insanely popular in Nashville. Have you seen these TV ratings for Dion? Goodness gracious. But I think on Saturday, we saw something different than just a Dion Sanders love-a-palooza. I'll explain. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. And you know what? Let's give away those Thomas Rhett tickets we've been giving away all week. Be caller 5 right now at 615-737-1025, and you are going to win a pair of tickets to see Thomas Rhett at Bridgestone Arena on September 30th. So good luck there for your chance to win those. Also, tune in to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game this Saturday at 6 o'clock for our college football game of the week, Arkansas and LSU, presented by Twin Peaks. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all the hottest college football games across the country.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch.
Talk about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Some people put off things that need doing. Not you. Harbor Freight knows you're a today's the day kind of person. An I'm on it kind of person. A bring it kind of person. So if you're rolling up your sleeves today and you don't want to overpay for tools, you're a Harbor Freight kind of person. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Caroline Fenton here for my friends at Sean Hammond's Jiu-Jitsu Academy. They supply a very safe and family-friendly environment with classes daily. Classes range from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, cardio kickboxing, ladies and kids programs, and so much more. Black belt instructed classes for men, women, and kids of all ages. You'll gain knowledge in self-defense, get a great workout, and get in the best shape of your life. Located at 2909 Armory Drive in South Nashville, call Sean Hammond's Jiu-Jitsu Academy today to set up your free trial. Learn more at SeanHammondsBJJ.com.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Xander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Xander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Xander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
In any work environment, the culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is Sean Fort, General Manager of Cromwell Media, and this month we want to highlight a few of our employees celebrating their anniversary. We have 2 members of our sales department, Jeff Kolb celebrating 12 years, and Matt Saggio celebrating 11 years with Cromwell Media. We also want to highlight Tina Jackson in our HR department, celebrating 2 years. Thank you all for making this a great place to work. If you're looking for a new career or just somewhere fun to work, send us a resume to together at cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Now, your game center update.
The Tennessee Titans returned to the practice field today as they get ready to take on the Cleveland Browns in Week 3 of the NFL season. The Browns have a tough defense, including edge rusher Myles Garrett. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel said today on how staying out of 3rd and long will be key.
Making sure that, again, we're staying efficient, and they've had a 25 snaps of 2nd and 8 or 9 plus, which leads to 3rd and 10 and 3rd and long, and guys are talented and playing fast. So just trying to stay ahead of the chains, and like we did the other day. And again, it wasn't perfect, but it was closer to what we want to look like.
Titans versus Browns is set for noon on Sunday. After losing running back Nick Chubb for the season, the Browns are signing running back Kareem Hunt. The Nashville Predators reported for training camp today. Their first on-ice session will begin tomorrow. Nashville SC is back to MLS action tonight as they are on the road versus Kansas City with kickoff set for 7:30. And only a few more nights of Nashville Sounds baseball as they continue their series at First Horizon Park tonight, taking on Jacksonville, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. First pitch is set for 6:35 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. I did it, didn't I, Ian? Darn! Oh, so close. So close. Again, we're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios here today on the program. So I do want to touch, we've been Titans pretty much all week, on the phenomenon that is Dion and the Buffaloes. Now, I am all in on Colorado. I kind of watched the first game, the TCU game, but I was kind of busy. And, I saw that they won, and Dion got into it with Ed Werder after the game and whatever. Then I watched the Nebraska game, and I got into it. I was glued to the TV. I'm watching the TV in the Nebraska. I'm like, go Dion. Then last week, I couldn't get enough of it. I'm reading articles in The Athletic about Dion as a baseball teammate. Dion's doing every interview for every show. Dion goes on Skip and Shannon. Dion goes on First Take. Dion goes on McAfee. Dion goes on 60 Minutes. Dion goes on College Game Day. Dion goes on Big Noon Kickoff. Dion is doing every show. I've been addicted to the behind-the-scenes Dion Sanders Jr. videos where it's, what's going on inside the Colorado facility, so much so that I can actually recognize some of the players' faces at Colorado. I'm like, oh, that's Travis Hunter. But the Colorado State game on Saturday, which a boatload of people here in Nashville watched, which was incredible to me because I watched it, but a bunch of you stayed up to watch that game. It was the best night game ever in the history of ESPN college football. It was the most streamed game ever in the history of ESPN's college football. College Game Day had, I want to say, the 3rd best September ratings ever. I mean, Dion is a phenomenon. But the first 2 games were all about Dion. And everything that stemmed after those first two games was still all about Dion. When Dion showed up and he told the team, go hit the transfer portal because I brought my luggage with me, and it's Louis. That was about Dion. When he did all the interviews and he kicked all those kids off the team and brought in all those new kids, that was about Dion. When they sold out the spring game, that was Dion. When we all watched the first two games, that was Dion. Saturday night's game against Colorado State, where Colorado did not play well, Travis Hunter got hurt, Colorado State met the challenge. That was about Shadeur. Saturday night's victory, down by 8, on the 2-yard line, drives down the field, goes for 2, gets it, scores a touchdown in overtime, scores another touchdown in overtime. That game was about Shadeur Sanders and just how good Shadeur Sanders really is. That was a true superstar performance. We always talk in the NFL about the quarterback who elevates his team. And that's why Patrick Mahomes just got a $12 million raise, even though the Chiefs had him for $40 million a year on a contract that he signed 4 years ago. Because they know, hey, Patrick's so good that we got to pay him the money. The Jets are paying Aaron Rodgers an unbelievable amount of money. Justin Herbert's 0-2, just came in here and got beat. And I said after Herbert signed the contract that I have always thrown Brandon Staley under the bus, and I have always blamed everybody but Herbert for the Chargers' lack of success. Well, now that you're making $52 million a year, you have to win these games. Herbert has to win the game on Sunday against the Titans. He makes too much money not to. Deshaun Watson has a fully guaranteed contract who you play on Sunday, and right now he's terrible. But the reason why those guys make all that money is because they're the force multipliers. They're the guys who can literally put a team on their back. And that's what Shadeur Sanders was on Saturday night. I understand that Colorado State is not Ohio State. And I know that it's going to be a much bigger test for Dion and Shadeur this week against Oregon than it ever has been with today's game was watched by so many people that Shadeur should be the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. That's what makes this Saturday's game probably a Heisman Trophy opportunity for Shadeur Sanders. It reminds me of Lamar Jackson in 2016. They got off to a great start early. Lamar Jackson had excellent stats, and then they played a massive game against Florida State. I don't know if you guys remember that. I went to that game. But a massive game at Florida State, or excuse me, at home against Florida State, and Lamar went crazy. College Game Day was there, which was the first time in Louisville history that Game Day came. It was the national game of the week, Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit, and Lamar went crazy. I want to say Florida State was like number 3 in the country at the time. And, I mean, just beat the crap out of them, like 56-14. And on that night, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman. They lost to Clemson against Deshaun Watson. They lost to Houston later in the year. They even lost to Kentucky in the last game of the year, which I don't really want to discuss. I don't really want to get into it. It kind of hurts my feelings to talk about. But they lost to Kentucky, but it didn't matter. Lamar had the game. There are going to be so many people that watch this Oregon-Colorado game because Dion draws the numbers. That somehow, some way, Trevor does not think, with Travis Hunter out, that Colorado has a chance to win this game. If Colorado wins, it will be because of Shadeur Sanders. And Shadeur Sanders is so good that if they win this game, I think he may win the Heisman on Saturday. And I'm not going to count them out because Shadeur Sanders is too good to count out. I don't like the fact that it does feel like Shadeur kind of gets in a fight with everybody all the time. Remember, he got into it with Matt Rule before the Nebraska game, and then he got into it, when I'm watching the Tennessee-Florida game on Saturday night, and I see, Fowler and Herbie are doing the game, and they're like, well, this has just happened before kickoff of the Colorado State game, and, there's the players at midfield. I'm like, guys, can we drop the WWE shtick a little bit? And then after the game was over, Dion was talking to Jay Norvell, in the handshake with everybody on the field, and Shadeur was all up in that. I'm like, Shadeur, can we get, out of that a little bit? Like, can we get out of the, the extracurriculars or whatever? But when it comes to playing football, Shadeur Sanders is special. I mean, he is a great player. And I'll say this when it comes to Shadeur. Not only is he an absolute superstar, not only is he easily a future NFL quarterback, I mean, he's got the goods. But I think we have to give Dion a lot of credit on this. For one, being a great quarterback always starts with your family. And two, Dion was his coach in high school, and Dion was his coach at Jackson State, and Dion's his coach now. So Dion must be doing something right when it comes to Shadeur. I didn't think Dion was going to work out at Colorado. I didn't think the Dion shtick, I mean, I figured they'd win some games, but as far as captivate the entire country, I didn't see that coming. But I am amazed at how Dion has done it, and he's done it his own way. And I am amazed at just how smart Dion Sanders is. He's fully embraced NIL in the transfer portal. These other college coaches who have probably been paying players under the table for years, every opportunity they get, they complain about it. Saban complains about it all the time. And Dion just has right above his desk where he does every interview, you play good, they pay good. I tweeted this out on Saturday. Everything the original XFL wanted to be, the big hits, the high drama, the celebrities, the party, everything that they wanted to be is what Colorado football is right now. But what makes it go is Shadeur. At least that's what happened on Saturday. The first two games were all about Dion. This one was about Shadeur. And that kid, he is special. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to weigh in on that. By the way, Mel Kiper Jr. has updated his big board with where Shadeur Sanders would be in this draft. And if the Titans aren't good, which a lot of you think they're not, the Titans would probably not completely be out of Shadeur range. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Right here. And let me tell all the fine folks that 102.5, 106.3 The Game is your home for Nashville Predators hockey. Tune in for player interviews and the latest updates from Preds training camp as the team prepares for the 2023-2024 season, and coverage of training camp is presented by the New Cumberland Development.
New home. New energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Catch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Smashville Predators hockey is back, and you don't want to miss the biggest party on Broadway as we celebrate 25 years of Smashville all season long. Single game tickets are on sale now. Secure your seats now before they sell out. Visit NashvillePredators.com/single game tickets to purchase your tickets today. That's NashvillePredators.com/single game tickets. Let's go Preds.
It's time for another Kubota Field event hosted by Coleman Tractor of Nashville. Our biggest sales event of the year will take place on Thursday, September 21st at the Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot. Stop by our booth to learn all about Kubota. Zero-turn mowers, utility vehicles, and more. Take advantage of Kubota's competitive financing offers, receive a coupon for up to $250, plus enter to win prizes. Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot at the Nashville Gun Club, Thursday, September 21st. The event kicks off at 7:30 a.m.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com. Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
It's Raymond and Austin. We're back on All-Star Sports Radio. Celebrating their 30th year, our sportsbook and casino sponsor, BetUS.com, is going big.
That's right, Austin. Sports bettors can win a new truck, get the industry's biggest 125% sign-up bonus, and even get up to 30 risk-free bets.
Touchdown! BetUS also has a 150% casino sign-up bonus.
Blackjack, now you're talking, Austin. They also have live dealers and live betting on sports, including racetrack.
Get started today at BetUS.com, where the game begins.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shadeur is special.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This brother is special.
For sure.
I'm not talking about Molly. We interviewed him. We talked to him. We watch him play. We see the speed. We see the athleticism. Yep. We see the arm strength. I'm watching him look off coverage.
Yes.
I mean, he's doing stuff you don't see too many college quarterbacks do. When you hear about guys like he talks about how Tom Brady's going to text him after the game, talk to him after the game. You hear about people being mentored.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to visualize it. Go back and watch tape of Tom Brady. And then of course, I'm not comparing the two. But watch Shadeur look off defenders. Look in one direction, all of a sudden at the drop of a hat, throw it in another direction. The poise, the intellect, the athleticism, the arm strength, the moxie, the wanting the moment.
Yes.
But to know that that's his dad and to have that light on him and to play the way that he plays up here, not just with his ability, we got a potential superstar on our hands.
There you go. That was Stephen A. talking about Shadeur Sanders. And Mel Kiper Jr. has his new big board out. Caleb Williams, USC's number 1. Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State, the wide receiver, number 2. Alumiwa Fashanu, offensive tackle, Penn State's number 3. Drake May, the quarterback at Carolina, 4. Shadeur Sanders, Colorado, number 5. And Mel writes, believe the hype. Sanders has been sensational through 2 games for the Buffaloes after throwing 70 touchdown passes and 14 interceptions in 2 seasons at Jackson State. He has taken another step with a jump to the FBS, completing 77.5% of his passes with 6 scores and no picks in wins over TCU and Nebraska. Sanders is unflappable, Mel writes. He throws a great ball showcasing pinpoint accuracy on intermediate routes and a heater when he needs it across the middle of the field. He can throw strikes on the move to his left or his right. He's an excellent decision maker and is highly competitive, which I love from a quarterback. Having watched Sanders' tape from 2021 and 2022 and the improvement he has shown this season, I see, Mel Kiper writes, future top 10 pick potential. He's that good. He's only a true junior, which means he could return to school next year and compete to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 class. Here's the thing. Now, I know Dion has already said that Shadeur's going to come back. With NIL money being what it is, and Shadeur Sanders, of anybody who's going to make a boatload of money in NIL, it's Shadeur Sanders if he were to come back for next year. With Dion as the coach, and the fact that obviously, Shadeur comes from money, and Shadeur's making his own money, I could see him wanting to stick around. But if he doesn't, and he's QB3, and what could be a loaded quarterback class, and don't forget Bo Nix is quarterback prospect in the draft. If things don't go well for the Titans, maybe they could get in on the Shadeur Sanders mix. And with Tom Brady as his mentor, I do think that gives me some assurance that, Shadeur is, with Dion as his dad and Brady as his mentor, that he could continue to learn and grow and be coachable and all of those things that I want in a quarterback. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ellie has been waiting patiently and is up next on Shadeur Sanders. Thank you for calling. What's up, Ellie?
Yeah, as I stated in the past, Joe Burrow 2.0, but more athletic. He should be the number 1 and number 2 pick of this draft. He has an accurate pass. He can make all the throws. He's highly intelligent. He's been coached at an NFL level. He's going to be a gold jacket one day. It's no-brainer, and if you pass on him, you're going to regret it. If you have the number 1 and number 2 pick. The only person I might even consider taking over is Caleb Williams, and I probably wouldn't even take Caleb Williams over him.
I like Drake May a lot, but I hear what you're saying, Ellie, and I appreciate your call. I'm not sure I can go gold jacket for Shadeur Sanders yet. I still think, and I love Shadeur Sanders, and I think, again, like they said, he is special. But I'm not sure I can buy the hype and go gold jacket when it comes to Shadeur. I do wonder at his size, because he looks a little bit smallish out there on the field. I do wonder if his size may hold him back a little bit. But I do think that there is some serious game in Shadeur Sanders. And he's going to grow up a lot more now. Dion did a podcast. He did Tom Brady's podcast because Dion does every interview. And Dion was talking about the impact that Tom Brady has had on Shadeur and how Dion uses Brady when trying to special player, or is he going to go to one of these organizations that just perpetually screws things up? And Shadeur is no different than anybody else in that regard. Chip from Mount Juliet says, Jared, you went gold jacket for Kenny Pickett after the preseason. I didn't even say Kenny Pickett was going to win the MVP. I picked Joe Burrow to win MVP. I said Kenny Pickett would be second. And right now, Burrow's not looking much better either. Man, I am a little disappointed in Kenny. But that defense that they faced with the Browns, we'll see them up close and personal on Sunday. Texter says, so you think the Titans should just waste another high draft choice and abandon Will Levis already? No. They'll have a better idea of what they have in Will Levis because they'll see him in practice. Even if we don't see him play a snap in the games this year, they should have a pretty decent idea of what they have. And so I'm not saying if you think you've got a franchise quarterback to abandon Will Levis, but Shadeur Sanders, he's special. He is special. I do wonder, Dion is talking about how he's not interested in the NFL and he doesn't think his style can work in the NFL. I don't know if it can or it can't. I didn't think his style could work in the Power 5. And clearly it can. But, so I don't know if Dion's just saying he's not interested in the NFL because that would be a recruiting disadvantage. And they're bringing the dogs on these recruiting visits. Like last week, they had, the top player in the country is an Alabama commit. The top player, I believe, in the state of Tennessee is a UT commit, and he was there in Colorado. Dion's bringing the boys out there. And so maybe it's a recruiting disadvantage if Dion were to say he wanted to go to the NFL. But I do think that, there's probably a sense here with Shadeur that he may come back for another year. I do think there may be some truth in that. 615-737-1025. Deshaun Watson versus Ryan Tannehill on Sunday. No Shadeur Sanders. So we will probably get into Shadeur with Fitz. Is Deshaun Watson bad now? How long does this go on before Deshaun Watson is bad? We'll ask Fitz that next here on Stillman & Company. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. You know I love Hiller. In fact, I've got them coming out to the house Friday. I've got to install a charger that uses like the same kind of outlet in my garage as like a dryer does. And you know I have no idea how to do that. So they're coming on out. They're going to get that taken care of. And I guarantee you that on Friday when we're doing the show, we're telling you about how great that experience was, because every experience that I've had with Hiller has been absolutely fantastic. It's going to start getting colder, and when it does, it'll be time to think about your heating system. Go ahead and do it now. You do not want to experience the breakdowns when the first temperature drop happens. So it's time to get your heating tune-up taken care of. Lucky for you, it's Happy Half Off month at Hiller, and tune-ups are only 50% off. This month, Hiller is making it easier than ever to tackle those necessary home replacements by giving you 50% off select add-on items. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free Guarantee. And again, I know this because I use Hiller, and I've got them coming out to the house on Friday. Hiller offers convenient, quick online booking, which is what I did. I just went happyhiller.com, pulled it up, and within 3 minutes, I had the appointment set for Friday. Select the appointment time that works for you and get an instant confirmation. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller! Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team. You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Viraggio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero-interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, folks, Joe Rexford here talking to you about PhD weight loss. I had a goal when I went to this program, losing 38 pounds, got down 39, then went past the 40 mark, but I'm in maintenance now, and maintenance is a fantastic plan as well. Keeping the weight off, losing the weight, no pills, no gimmicks, no other suppressants. This was a fantastic plan with a weekly coach call with my coach, Rachel. You understand what is going on with your body in this process. The program is designed for you. Then it is tweaked for you. It is a plateau busting program. And if you've tried to lose weight on other programs, you know how it goes. You do it for a while, it might work, then you get sick of it, move on to something else. PhD weight loss does not give you that experience. You are going to stick with it. It's easy to stick with it, and then you're going to keep the weight off. You're going to know this is simple and easy. Again, you have a coach, and there's a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Join me now. You won't regret it. Visit myphdweightloss.com.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
C10 Nationals, the world's largest Chevy and GMC truck event, is coming to the Nashville Superspeedway September 29th and 30th. Packed with vendors and activities, autocross, swap meet, dyno, drag race, and more. Daily tickets $20 at the gate, and parking is free. More info at c10nationals.com.
He knows Nashville sports.
I love Clark Lee. He is a brilliant dude.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They were atrocious on defense a year ago.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
We really don't care. You're here. You signed a grant of rights.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
I know they were doing that for him to be the third-string quarterback in year one.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Sign up for Silly Underdog Picks. That's right. Week 4 of the college season, week 3 of the NFL season. Can you believe it? Week 4 of the college season are vastly approaching. So make your Silly Underdog Picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app. And Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. So Jason Fitz joins us. Jason Fitz joins us, Fox Sports Radio and Yahoo Sports here on the program. Sorry about that, Fitz. I want to start
I've done it a million times on Yahoo already, so I appreciate
Have you?
it. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, so many times.
So I want to start with this, which is Deshaun Watson officially bad?
Yes. So he is. I think he's cooked. I don't think he's any good, and I don't think he's knocking the rust off. But here's what's interesting. I actually talked to a couple of our insiders today at Yahoo, and I talked to a couple of people that, I think are pretty tied in over the organization. And there's some things offensively that they're doing that is not necessarily easiest for them. They're doing a lot of play action. He was always better when he could see everything in front of him out of shotgun. Now he's being asked to read and react, which isn't necessarily what he wants. But most importantly, and I think you'll appreciate this because we've all seen it before around athletes, he's in his head. Like there's no doubt that even people around him realize with all this mentalizing and all these things that they talked about that there is this period here where Deshaun doesn't trust himself to be himself anymore. And when you've lost that confidence as a player, I don't know how you easily get it back. So I think the unfortunate thing here, unfortunate, it's a weird word to use because we're only talking about the football player, but the unfortunate part for Deshaun, the football player, is I think he's cooked. I think he's done. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL anymore.
Do you think, and you've talked to some people just, to see what they got, do you think that the problem with Deshaun is the layoff between 2020 and 2023? Do you think it's the stress from all the sexual assault stuff that he went through and that I say went through, I mean, he brought it upon himself, but that and just the shame that he has to live with? Is it the expectations of the contract? I mean, why does Deshaun Watson stink now?
I think because for a long time, and again, this is based on a couple of conversations I had actually today. For a long time, it felt like everybody surrounded Deshaun with positivity, and it was just like, you go get yours, and you're a star, and you can do this, and blah, blah, blah. And now it seems like everything he does, isn't good enough for a lot of people, and there's a different level of pressure for it. And again, as we both said, and I'll say loudly, he's created all of this stuff that he's living through right now, but it doesn't seem like he's mentally prepared to deal with it at all. So now when you just can't sort of get past the fact that, maybe you were the darling for the world and now you are not, and you've got just a large group of people that are openly rooting against you for personal reasons and for money reasons, it creates a different level of expectation to everything he does. And it feels like it's crippling him in the moment. So I think Kevin Stefanski takes part of this blame. He should take part of this blame for, the way that they're running this offense. I'm not sure he's necessarily doing justice to the quarterback himself. But, man, the number of balls that have just gone in the dirt 10 yards short or, gone into the stands 10 yards long, that's not scheme. He's just not making open throws. So we can talk about scheme all day long, but he is just flat out missing open throws. And that, to me, that speaks a lot to mentals. That speaks a lot to just, it feels like he's cooked.
Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports, Fox Sports Radio on the program. Do you think that the way Russell Wilson has bombed in Denver and the way Deshaun Watson has bombed in Cleveland, that the used quarterback market has now maybe had a market correction after Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and even Matthew Stafford won Super Bowls?
Yeah, I do. And I think part of that is, I was telling somebody yesterday, we need to start talking about the Seahawks chapter a little bit differently as we see Russ away from it because, certainly we gave Russ a lot of credit for who he was as a quarterback, but I don't know that we ever gave the Seahawks the credit for being able to get the most out of him. And it's obvious at this point they were, right? That's not even a hot take. So you got to look around at some point and say, okay, what is the fix? and I don't think that there is a fix at this point for Russ either. Like, it's a bad fit. And when your coach is coming out, saying, hey, if we need to use more wristbands and I need to shorten my calls, what you're really saying there to people around the game is, like, my quarterback's not smart enough or in the playbook enough to get us in and out of the huddle. Like, that's a huge dig at Russ. I know some people are trying to take it as Sean Payton. No, that's a huge dig at Russ. He's not saying I need to do something different. He's saying, I guess I need to change the way I communicate because my quarterback can't handle it. So, I think what we're learning here is that at some point, taking a risk on somebody else that gets to walk out the room, there's a reason a lot of these guys get to walk out the door, and that's real. So if you're a team and you're looking at it, you got to look at it with a little bit of caution. Like, you're getting the best case scenario with the quarterback like Russ and any of these veteran guys. Your best case scenario is you'll get 1 or 2 really good years. Is it worth that? I don't think so.
Jason Fitz is with us. How much does the Nick Chubb injury affect the Cleveland Browns specifically this week against the Titans?
I think it absolutely crushes them. When you're talking about a quarterback that's out of sync and you're talking about a quarterback that's not throwing the ball well, they're going to bring in Kareem Hunt. We all know that. Kareem Hunt was on the market for a long time because they don't believe he's got enough left in the tank. He comes in with some familiarity to it, so I think he'd be pretty good. Like, he can be okay, but now you don't have to account for that at all. So now all of a sudden that's going to put more pressure on Deshaun. That's going to put more pressure on Amari Cooper, who, has been up and down for his entire career, right? So it changes the way the entire defense is going to play against us. And when you start changing all of that, you're just putting more and more on Deshaun. And if you watch just the body language of the player there and sort of the anger in that game the other night, Deshaun's frustrated. So if I'm playing against Deshaun right now, here's the one thing I know. I know I can get under his skin because everybody's getting under his skin right now. And if I can get under his skin, I can make him do something dumb. If he does something dumb, I can win the football game. So I think right now, presuming that, obviously this looks the way it looks with Chubb, we all know that. Like, I think the Browns are cooked for the next year. They went from being a team that I said a couple of weeks ago was a sneaky playoff team to a team that, I just could end up with the top 10 pick. I think it could go that far off the rails.
Fitz, what'd you make of Tannehill's revival on Sunday?
Look at, I was thinking of you, buddy. I was thinking of you because see, this is the hardest part of the. I'll say this really gently. The hardest part of the class of the pretty good quarterbacks is that some weeks they do this and some weeks they don't, and that's the difference between the greats and the okays. And when you're on the category of the pretty goods, guy that can win you some games, guy that's going to lose you some games, what you got to realize is that you can't get, just like you can't get too low when he loses the game, you can't get too high when he's precision like that. Like, I think the Chargers are the most stunning 0-2 of the entire beginning of the season, including the Bengals. The abject disaster with which the way Staley continues to coach that team is shocking to me. But this is a big win for the Titans, and they went out and they got it done with Tannehill carving up the Chargers. Like, all that talent, he carved them up. So the good is that he's going to do this sometimes. The bad is that he's going to throw 3 picks in a playoff game. So I wouldn't bank on him to win a Super Bowl, but this is exactly why Ryan Tannehill can win you enough games to keep you relevant.
Fitz, do you count as national media? Like, do you look at yourself like a Colin Cowherd or something, with Yahoo and Fox Sports Radio?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to lecture you here for a second.
Way, but
I'm going to lecture you here for a second.
Ooh, I like this.
Did you watch Jacksonville against Kansas City this past week?
Yeah, I watched it.
All I ever hear about all offseason is how Trevor Lawrence is the next great quarterback, Doug Peterson is this great offensive guru coach, and that Jacksonville cannot be stopped. That, it's not even a question of if Jacksonville is going to win the AFC South. The question is Jacksonville going to win the AFC? And so I saw that they lost to the Chiefs, but I don't want to be a box score reader, so I watched the game. And when I watched the game, I came away from the fact that Jacksonville will never have a better opportunity against Kansas City. Kansas City turned the ball over 3 times. They committed like 12 penalties for 100 yards. Travis Kelce dropped a touchdown. Jawan Taylor got benched. I mean, it was awful. They fumbled a punt inside the 15-yard line. And Trevor Lawrence couldn't do anything. He was horrible. They had 271 yards of total offense. They were 0 of 3 in the red zone. They got a 1st and goal at the 1, and they had to kick a field goal. I mean, Lawrence was terrible. The Jags were terrible. They're never going to get that bad of a performance out of the Chiefs ever again. Why is nobody talking about it? Why are you national media types? Why is it not maybe Trevor Lawrence isn't Joe Burrow? Why are we not hearing that?
I don't know. And I'll be honest with you. I agree with everything you just said about Trevor Lawrence. And I think one of the most surprising things about that game is when you go back and watch it, the two things. He just missed some wide open guys, and he was late and indecisive with the football, right? And that's not supposed to be Trevor Lawrence at all. So it was pretty stunning to me to see him play that poorly. And I think we all expected, a lot of people expected a meteoric leap in this year because he finally has a competent coach. And instead, Trevor Lawrence, who was a can't-miss prospect, looks a lot more like, he looks like a young version of Tannehill. He looks like he's going to be in the class of the pretty good right now. Like, I'm not putting Trevor Lawrence in the same class as Joe Burrow, even if Joe Burrow isn't playing necessarily lights out this year. He's a little hurt, right? We all know that. But I'm not putting Lawrence in that category. I saw some people going into the season that were saying Trevor Lawrence was going to be an MVP. I thought that was insane to me, too. So I think what we're seeing is that, you know me, like I always tell everybody, I like to take things in threes. So 3 weeks at a time, 3 years at a time when we're looking at careers. And this is supposed to be a big year for Trevor Lawrence. And so far, it's 2 games, but it isn't. You're right. They should have won that game against Kansas City. And if their offense would have been even capable, they would have won that. And by the way, they have talent all over that offense. They have guys that they should be able to rely on in that offense. So I think it's pretty inexcusable that they've looked as flat as they did.
So I don't even know who Jacksonville plays this week, but if Lawrence is awful again this week, then we would have 3 in the kitty. And by the law of 3, then wouldn't at that point we have to declare Trevor Lawrence something?
Yeah, I think right now, early on in the season, I'm okay saying that Trevor Lawrence is a disappointment. I don't have a problem saying that. And by the way, the Jags take on the Texans, so it should normalize this weekend, right? Like he should be fine. If he's not, then yeah, the sky should be falling a little bit with that. Like I don't think you're wrong, and I think we sort of agreed coming into the season that the Titans were being slept on. I still think that's the case. The Titans are being slept on. I think it's amazing that we live in a society where the Chargers lose, and it's more about the Chargers, and nobody wants to give any credit to the way the Titans played in that game. The Titans win yet again as an underdog. I think how many times are we going to see the entire country, whether it's Vegas or national pundits, underestimate a team that's always in that category? Like, they become sort of like the Steelers. You can just never count them out, right? Like, the Titans are going to be pretty good all the time. There's a lot of benefit of the doubt going to the Jags, and so far this season they do not deserve it. You are right about that. I don't disagree with it one bit.
There you go, Jason Fitz, Fox Sports Radio, Yahoo Sports, joining us on the program as he always does. Fitz, great stuff, and I want you to take that back, to those national there's another thing I want you to pay attention to this week. If Oregon lights up the scoreboard on Colorado, don't forget about Will Stein, the offensive coordinator at Oregon, might be the next great Power 5 coach. I'm just saying.
No, I like that. I'm going to steal that take for sure. And by the way, you say if, I say when. I think Oregon's going to absolutely decimate Colorado this weekend.
Okay, well then put that out on Yahoo and Fox Sports and everything else that Will Stein should be the next great Power 5 coach. Jason Fitz, as always. Fitz, great stuff.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yep, Jason Fitz joining us on the program. And I do want to say this about the Titans. I know that Vrabel wins a bunch of games as an underdog. Well, part of that has to be, though, because the Titans are underdogs in every game. Have you seen the line, Ian, for the game on Sunday?
For the Titans?
Yep. Browns are a 3-point favorite.
Yep.
So the Titans were a 3-point dog week 1. They were a 2.5-point dog week 2. And they were a 3-point dog week 3. And my guess is when they play Cincinnati, because it'll probably be more like 5, because they're at home, they'll probably be a 3-point dog. So, if you win more than half of your games, which Vrabel does, then he's going to win a lot of games as an underdog when you're a 3-point dog in every game you play. So they are, in fact, 3-point dogs. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Browns did make a signing in relation to Nick Chubb, and yet I'm not sure it's a very impactful move that will help them on Sunday. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at First Horizon Park against Jacksonville.
Gloves, grabs, guns, gets him, and the Sounds win again.
Pre-game at 6:20.
Nashville Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Daniel Tosh is back. Sweet Tea Tour.
It is great to be here in America. the greatest country in the world.
This Thursday, Ryman Auditorium. Late show added 9:30 p.m. On sale now. Online at Ryman.com. Don't miss your chance to see Daniel Tosh. Sponsored by PNC Bank and AXS. Proud partners of Ryman Auditorium.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra, results vary.
It's time for another Kubota Field event hosted by Coleman Tractor of Nashville. Our biggest sales event of the year will take place on Thursday, September 21st at the Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot. Stop by our booth to learn all about Kubota. Zero-turn mowers, utility vehicles, and more. Take advantage of Kubota's competitive financing offers, receive a coupon for up to $250, plus enter to win prizes. Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot at the Nashville Gun Club, Thursday, September 21st. The event kicks off at 7:30 a.m.
Klein tools are new at Lowe's, pros. Lowe's knows you want top brands and quality products, and Klein Tools delivers. Right now, get the Klein 3-piece Modbox mobile workstation for $319.94 and the Klein 5-piece cushion grip screwdriver set for just $34.97, both exclusively at Lowe's. Shop the largest selection of Klein tools, the highest quality tool brand at Lowe's. Because Lowe's knows tools, Lowe's knows pros.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes. He wants to be the starter, day one. Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but Derek, let's Professor Derek.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What do you think of Ford, and do you think maybe they're built for the next guy to step in kind of the way you were when Derek went down?
I think so. I mean, they gave him the ball in Cincinnati. He didn't have as effective of a game, but certainly a guy that you saw was tackled in the backfield and was able to make 9 yards out of being, hit in the backfield at 4 yards. Was able to stop, cut, change direction, and circle up the defense for a big momentum-changing play the other night. So would anticipate, see what they do with Hunt coming in.
There you go. That was Vrabel today, and I am convinced that Jerome Ford is the Cleveland Browns' best hope on offense on Sunday against the Titans. Now, today, the Browns made it official. They signed the old man, Kareem Hunt, back to the roster. The last couple of years, it's kind of been Chubb 1, Hunt 2. It was not really a 1A, 1B, but after nobody wanted to sign Kareem Hunt for kicking that woman in the face and lying about it to Chiefs ownership, Cleveland, who has no soul, just look at their quarterback, decided to add Kareem Hunt to the mix. And Hunt was fine for a couple of years and really fell off last year. Now, he took a couple of visits in August, but didn't end up with a contract. And so now that Nick Chubb is out, the Browns have turned to Kareem Hunt. And I was sitting there today getting ready for the show, and I was thinking, do I need to watch the tape on Kareem Hunt from last season? Just maybe get a vibe as to what the Browns may want to do with him, or does he still have anything left in the tank, or does he? And while I'm not one to sit there and not watch something, because when I'm doing 4 hours by myself, well, with Ian, every day, it's kind of like, I'd like to be prepared. I decided it was a waste of time to watch tape on Kareem Hunt. For starters, if the Browns thought there was anything left in the tank on Kareem Hunt, they would have signed him before Nick Chubb got hurt. If they thought there was something to him, they would have said, you know what? Let's do a 1-year deal. Let's just, try to add him back into the mix, and that way, in case something happens. Instead, they're like, nah, we're not interested in you. And not only were they not interested in Kareem Hunt, but he took 2 visits, and he didn't get a contract. And I can't imagine the Browns are giving him a bunch of money now. So, number one, I think everybody thinks he doesn't have anything left. It's like when the Titans added Adrian Peterson after Derrick Henry broke his foot. Remember, they signed Adrian Peterson to the practice squad, not to the active roster. The second reason why I don't think it's worth my time to watch the tape on Kareem Hunt is because the Titans' run defense is probably the best run defense in the NFL. And so I feel good about the Titans' run defense. Now, Tart didn't practice, according to TD today. Do we have an injury report, Ian?
Yes, we do. T.R. Tart did not practice.
With a what?
Well, I believe it was ankle. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I don't have it right here.
That's
wait.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Oh.
Let's see. T.R. Tart, knee. Did not practice with a knee. Skoronski did not practice, but we knew that. Anthony Kendall did not practice with a hip. And Luke Gifford did not practice with a quad. Let's see. Autry, Henry, and Landry were all limited. Fulton, Hooker, Hopkins, full.
Okay. So, Tart may not play, although I am a little concerned about that knee. What's wrong with T.R. Tart? Because I'm a big T.R. Tart guy. But again, with Simmons and Autry and Landry and Azeez Al-Shaair, the Titans' run defense is fine. I don't get worried about Jonathan Taylor. I don't get worried about Joe Mixon. I don't get worried about the good running backs when the Titans are getting ready to play them. And I know the Titans didn't have to play Alvin Kamara. The Titans didn't have to play Austin Eckler. The Titans aren't going to have to play Nick Chubb. They're probably not going to have to play Jonathan Taylor in a couple of weeks. But I don't get worried about the good running backs when they do play them, because the Titans are so good at stopping the good running backs. So I'm definitely not going to get worried about Kareem Hunt. Old ball. And then third, and I think this is probably the most important part, and I did see this in The Athletic, the local guy who covers the Browns. Jerome Ford is going to be the running back. He had 16 carries for 106 on Monday night. They cannot throw the ball right now with Deshaun Watson. So if they're going to give the ball to the kid 16 times and he's going to run for 106, would that not give them confidence of, hey, he was the backup to Chubb, so if something were to happen to Chubb, and they had a couple of veterans that were on the roster in training camp behind Chubb, and they cut them so that they could make Jerome Ford the backup. So if you go into this saying, hey, if something happens, he's our guy, and then you give it to him 16 times and he runs for 106, wouldn't that give you more of a desire to want to hand him the football? So I think the real running back threat for the Browns on Sunday is not going to be Kareem Hunt. I think it's going to be Jerome Ford. Now, here's the other little fascinating part of this. You know how the running backs all got together? And they were like, hey, we got to do something because our contracts are going down. And, what are we going to do to make the running back market more valuable? And what can we do? And I'm not sure they really had any tangible answers there. Well, if Jerome Ford goes out there and lights it up, that's not going to help the case of the running backs. I don't even know where Jerome Ford was drafted. I don't even know if Jerome Ford was drafted. And so if the Browns, who have a decent running game because of Nick Chubb, if the Browns can turn around and hand the ball to Jerome Ford, who was drafted in the 5th round of the 2022 draft. Oh, he went to Cincinnati. And apparently he went to Alabama too.
Interesting. I guess he transferred.
But I know he didn't get the ball at Alabama, because if he got the ball at Alabama, we'd know who he is. But if they can turn around and give it to this 5th round pick from 2022, and Jerome Ford can give them Nick Chubb-like production, that Cleveland Browns, who spend a fortune on their roster, are going to say, well, why do we have to pay a Nick Chubb? We don't need to pay a Nick Chubb. We got Jerome Ford in the 5th round. So it's almost like if these running backs want to get paid, they got to tell Jerome Ford, hey, man, we need you to run for 2.2 yards a carry the rest of the season. Not that they would ever do that. Not that he would do that. But talk about the self-interest of Jerome Ford going against the mass interest of the running back position. But I'm certainly more focused on him than I would be on Kareem Hunt. Although I did find it fascinating that when Paul asked Vrabel today about Ford, that he did bring up, we'll take a look at that, and Hunt. So maybe Vrabel does think that Hunt may be used more on Sunday than I think they'll use Hunt, which I think they'll use him to spell Ford. 615-737-1025 is our phone number on the program, 615-737-1025. It is a Wednesday, and so what that means at 5 o'clock is Jared versus Joe. That's next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad.
It's Chase McKay.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman and Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. The Tennessee Titans returns to the practice field today as they get ready to take on the Cleveland Browns in Week 3 of the NFL season. Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill spoke today about the challenge of going up against Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett.
This is a special player. You know, you see a guy who's got the size and strength, but then he also has the speed, you know, so he's a extremely talented player that I have a ton of respect for. You know, he's disruptive. He has every kind of rush in the book, you know. You see him bend in the corner and getting low like some speed guys do, and then you also see him, you know, pushing the tackle back like power guys do. So really a tough guy to block, especially consistently, and a ton of respect for him.
After losing running back Nick Chubb for the season, the Browns are signing running back Kareem Hunt. The Nashville Predators reported for training camp today. Their first on-ice session will begin tomorrow. Nashville SC is back to MLS action tonight as they are on the road versus Kansas City with kickoff set for 7:30. And only a few more nights of Nashville Sounds baseball as they continue their series at First Horizon Park tonight, taking on Jacksonville, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. First pitch is set for 6:35 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. This Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. It is 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, my favorite time of the year. Caroline is here for Jared versus Joe. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Outstanding. Joseph Robinette, Rex Road Jr. Hello, sir.
Okie dokie. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Let's get right to it.
Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexroad. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Jared versus Joe is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Caroline Fenton, the floor is yours.
All right, Joe, you go first. A spicy topic this week. Should Tajay Spears get more touches?
Oh. You know what? I would say from last game, yeah, I'd give him a little bit more. I'd give him a little bit more work. I mean, you know what? I think 25 to 8 in carries, right?
Correct.
And obviously, you know, I think around 10 carries a game, based on how they're using those two together, and based on how he's running the ball, is appropriate. So if you say next game it's 23-10 Derrick Henry, I think I like that. I don't think it needs to be much different than the last game. I still think Derrick Henry at 20-plus, well, usually that means good things for the Titans, right? So if they're able to do that, then I think that's a good thing, and I think it's good for him. And I think he'll have games above 100 yards, even though he had just 80 in this one. But, yeah, a little bit more for Tajay Spears. I've seen nothing but explosiveness and potential with him so far.
So I'm fine with expanding the role of Spears a little bit, but not at the expense of Derrick Henry. Derrick played 71% of the snaps on Sunday. I want Derrick to stay around that 70%. Now, I understand in some games, you know, if the Titans get down on Sunday 17-0 in the first quarter and Derrick fumbles the ball like he did 3 years ago against the Browns, that at that point Spears probably is going to play more because the Titans will be chasing the game and having to pass the whole time, and they will probably lose. But I do not want Derrick Henry playing less than what he played on Sunday. Now, I get 71%. That's kind of a lot. When Arthur Smith was the coach in 2020, Derrick, I think, played 64% of the snaps. That is the target number for Derrick. 25 carries for Derrick. Great. 3 catches for Derrick. Great. That's 28 touches. When Derrick broke his foot in 2021 and was having a dominant season, he was touching the ball 28 times a game. Now, I think Spears is the best backup running back to Henry that they have ever had. Now, it's different because if something were to happen to Henry, knock on wood, I don't think they could turn around and give the ball to Spears 30 times, and they would kind of need a Julius Chestnut to play that Deontay Foreman role. So let's take Foreman out of this in terms of the best backups to Derrick. But I think he's a better player than Hilliard, and I did like Hilliard. I think he's a better player than Jeremy McNichols. I think he's a better player than kind of the other backup Scarbinis that they've had in there behind Derrick. But I still don't think that the formula should change at all. The Titans' best offense is running the ball with Derrick. Their second best offense, and this is tried and true for 5 years, is faking the ball to Derek. And so you can give me whatever Mike Herndon stats you want. I don't care. I mean, I need Derrick Henry touching the ball 26 times a game. I need Derrick Henry playing 70% of the snaps. If you want to play Spears more, that's fine. Do it with Derrick Henry on the field.
The only other thing I would add is in a particular game, I mean, it's just like, when Derrick Henry was kind of finding himself as a player, and, you had weeks where Dion Lewis got more work than Derrick Henry, which sounds ridiculous
Derrick
right
Henry
now. But
was finding himself as a player because Matt LaFleur lost him on the bench, and you supported David Fluellen over Derrick Henry.
Right, because you're the only person in the world who doesn't want to listen to what Derrick Henry and Eddie George and Mike Vrabel and everybody else has told you about Derrick Henry that year. But the point being,
Derrick Henry busted a touchdown run against the Dolphins, and Jerome Boger called it back on a phantom hold. He always had that in him.
Yeah, I know he's talented. He's always been talented. As he told you many times, he was not a complete back. He had not figured everything out. So let me get to my point, which is, if there's a particular day where Tyjae Spears is absolutely on one and he is just carving up a defense, well, react to that. I mean, if there's a day where Tyjae Spears gets the ball more than Derrick Henry because he's destroying a defense and they can't handle his particular skill set, great, do it. I agree with most of what you said, other than, you can't have this blind devotion to Derrick must have it this many times, must be on the field this much. You have the flexibility. You can be versatile now. You can be flexible now. And so that's what needs to happen. Other than that, I agree with most of what you said. You just can't have this blind, we must have X number of this or that with Derrick Henry or anybody.
Well, I mean, as I said at the beginning of that, I qualified it with if they're down 17-0 at the beginning of the game, that's a different ball game than the game the Titans want to play. And that would change, if they're chasing a game. But if it's a one-point game like the Saints game, I don't want to see Derrick Henry play 40% of the snaps and then get up there at the podium and say, oh, well, the game dictated that we not play Derrick Henry more, because that's bullcrap.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Okay, good. That one I liked. Caroline, what's next?
All right, Jared, you go first, and I'm very intrigued to hear your take on this, on your dear, dear friend Dylan Radins. Did Dylan Radins prove that he belongs in the NFL and in the Titans lineup when he played against the Chargers on Sunday?
No. I mean, Dylan Radins proved that he may not be the worst offensive lineman on the Titans, which is certainly nothing to write home about, because I think that I could have gotten the same result at left guard with me as Xavier Newman-Johnson. But no, the tape shows you all of the problems and the good things with Dylan Radins. It shows you that Dylan Radins tries really, really hard, which, when we talked about him with Trevor was like, he tries really hard. And so because he tries hard, he can kind of get in the way a little bit on run plays. He can't pass protect at all, which is why he's a terrible tackle. And he's not really a road grader. I mean, he got out there on one of them and pancaked a guy, but he was trying so hard that he really could have gotten called for holding on it. And they're kind of lucky he didn't. And so, no, he is just an average Scarbini practice squad. Bring him up, don't bring him up. I mean, he's a lot like this Jordan Roos that the Titans had on the practice squad for forever. Called him up last year, played him in a couple of these games. I actually thought Jordan Roos played okay. And then they ended up cutting him out of training camp, and last week cut him off the practice squad. That's what Radins is. And all these people are out there trying to make fetch happen with Dylan Radins. And, I mean, it is just absurd. He stinks, but the whole rest of the line stinks too. So I'm not singling him out because the other guys are terrible. But, I mean, no. The idea of, people were texting in on Monday saying Radins should get a game ball. Get the hell out of here. No, he should not. And when I asked Trevor what he thought of the offensive line, Trevor said, well, they tried hard. I'm like, so you're telling me that they have a good personality? That's what he's telling me about Dylan Radins. He can't pass block. He's not really a good run blocker. I mean, he's a practice squad level player.
Did you watch Mean Girls for the first time?
No, but did you like that?
I did. I appreciate that.
So you're talking about the pancake he had on Derrick Henry's longest run of the day, right? Jared's film room, is that right?
No, I was talking about the first one where he took the guy halfway across the field and threw him down, and they could have gotten called for a hold.
Oh, well, if you were studying the tape, you noticed that on Derrick Smith.
The best block on the 23-yard run for Derrick Henry was Andre Dillard.
That was very good, too. But I hope you go back and notice that Radins absolutely obliterated his guy, not holding, and a flat-out pancake. I just want to make sure you saw that.
I didn't think that was an impressive block that anybody else couldn't have done, whereas Dillard is, like 8 yards out knocking a guy off, like Taylor Lewan and Roger Saffold used to do. And the Chig just kind of got in the way.
Caroline. I love this is like a subtweeting topic from Caroline. I love it because this goes back to all the ridiculous things you said about Dylan Radins, which included that, John Robinson and Mike Vrabel only kept him on the roster to, like, save face for themselves, which was stupid. And that he was it's just dumb. I mean, so basically, because you died on that hill, you want to try to minimize things. I don't think Dylan Radins is great. Is he an NFL player? Yeah, he's an NFL offensive lineman. There's a lot of not very good ones in the league. Does he belong on this roster? I mean, the guy is 8.5 months, right? 8.5 months away from tearing an ACL, which for a big guy is not a long period of time. And the Titans told him before last game, you are the number one lineman at any position that leaves the game, other than center. You are first in. Left tackle, left guard, right tackle. You're first in. So, I mean, you have to put it in the context of a team with not a very good offensive line, but I think that speaks pretty clearly about how he fits into this offensive line. Does it not?
I mean, it tells you that the offensive line's bad, but you saw Xavier Newman-Johnson out there. He stinks.
Okay. Again, I mean, you had a terrible take. You doubled down, you tripled down, you quadrupled down, and I'm just glad Caroline brought it up because it's ridiculous.
I still just don't this is what I think's happened. I think everybody.
No one's saying he's great. No one is saying Dylan Radins is great. No one.
I think what happened is the offensive line play was so bad that Radins went in there and was bad, but he just wasn't as bad as it was. And so now everybody is like, hey, that's good. He's good enough to be a backup. I'm like, he's good enough to be on the practice squad. The problem is your entire offensive line is a bunch of practice squad guys outside of Skoronski. He is legit. Everybody else is a practice squad caliber player. So congratulations that Dylan Radins is a practice squad caliber player. Woo!
Yeah, that's a lot of word salad, but sure, whatever you say, buddy.
He's a practice squad player. I don't hear you arguing against that.
No, yeah, well, he's a practice squad player. So what percentage of the league, then, is a practice squad player? What percentage of the Titans offensive lineman would qualify as a practice squad player?
I give that 95%.
A lot.
How many offensive linemen are on the active roster? 10? Every single one of them except for Skoronski is, in my opinion, a practice squad level player. I mean, I had Brunskill. Like, Brunskill can be your 6th offensive lineman or your 5th offensive lineman with 4 other good offensive linemen. Like when Dennis Kelly was the starting right tackle or Quessenberry was the starting right tackle. Brunskill might be able to be that guy. Hubbard's actually been the best offensive lineman, I think, through the first 2 games. And, I mean, wasn't the deal with Hubbard like he hadn't started a game in years?
Yes, that's right.
So, I mean, it's all bad. It's all bad.
So everybody sucks. That's fine. Everybody sucks.
Except
Skoronski. But again, you have screamed to the heavens that Radins is worse than all of them. I mean, he's the worst.
Well, I didn't even know who Xavier.
And now you eat crow.
I didn't even know who Xavier Newman-Johnson was until they cut Corey Levin inexplicably before the first week of the season and then brought him back. And I threw that fit because I'm like, who the hell is Xavier Newman-Johnson? And now that I know who Xavier Newman-Johnson is, I will give you the nod that he is not as good as Dylan Radins. But he also might not be as good as Brennan Rexroad.
Wow.
Don't bring Brennan into this.
I mean, I'm just telling you.
I'll pass that along.
Brennan plays offensive line, right?
He plays linebacker. But
I was close. You know what? You could probably flip him over to offensive line. No technique, no coaching, and he could probably do better than Xavier Newman-Johnson's not blocking. Which I think we could agree with. More Jared versus Joe continues on the other side here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
New home. new energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Catch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Verragio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The celebration! One of the most beloved comedians on earth, Dave Chappelle, is hitting the road with a tour celebrating his birthday with you.
This Thursday, Bridgestone Arena.
You know who he is. You know what he does. Comedic genius Dave Chappelle. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com.
What a great birthday.
Celebration record.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Are you in the mood for authentic Chicago-style Italian food? Italian beef sandwiches, Vienna Chicago-style hot dogs? How about homemade pasta, chili, meatballs and marinara sauce, and more? Well, you need to check out this week's Nashville's Best Deal. Campione's at 401 Long Hollow Pike, Goodlettsville, Tennessee. Family-owned and featured on Tennessee Crossroads, this is delicious Italian-style food right here in Tennessee. Check them out now at thegamenashville.com/deals. Get half off now while supplies last.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Jared versus Joe is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Caroline.
All right, Joe, you go first for this one. Vols lay an egg in the Swamp on Saturday. Was it so bad that the Vols are back to being irrelevant?
Irrelevant. No, the Vols are. First of all, I don't think the Vols. I think the Vols are always relevant, even when they're terrible. When they're terrible, they can be so terrible that they're incredibly relevant.
Are they back to being terrible? I will correct.
The awfulness of Benjamin. No, they're not terrible. I am concerned about this team. I mean, I thought this defense was better, and yeah, I was, I guess, fooled by Virginia and Austin Peay as opponents, but also I like some of their personnel who had played really well against good teams. Aaron Beasley, for example. Danico Slaughter, Amari Thomas. They've got talent on defense, and
There goes Joe going 6 deep on the depth chart.
Oh, I'm sorry that I know some players on the team. By the way, Peyton Manning's no longer on the team anymore, Jared, to help you with your argument here. So I am disappointed because they were awful on defense against Florida, and they should have controlled that game. They got beat up front on both sides of the ball. And, look, I knew there'd be a step down. Everybody should have known there'd be a step down with the offense in general at quarterback, but it's way more severe than I anticipated. And Joe Milton is down my list of issues, but I really don't like what they're doing offensively with him. I mean, to me, if you have that guy, let him use his arm, even if you have some mistakes. I mean, he threw his first pick since 2020 the other day. I mean, the half your pass plays being screens and swing passes to me is sort of turtling and saying you don't have faith that these guys can play offensive football. And if you do that, you're going to do stuff like score 16 freaking points in a football game, which last year's team would have just shuddered at the thought. So I'm concerned. I still think this team can win 8 or 9 games, but they're going to have to get a lot better to be able to do that.
So to answer the question, yes, the Vols are back to being irrelevant. Nobody's talking about them around the country. This time last year, people were starting to kind of pick it up a little bit on Tennessee, and then when they won the Alabama game, they were the talk of college football, and they were number 1 in the college football rankings, and their TV ratings were through the roof. And now they're back to what they normally are, which is they're there with the middle and bottom and whatever of the SEC. That Florida team stinks. I think we can all agree. We watched them against Utah. They stink. That quarterback that Florida has stunk at Wisconsin. And you have to really suck to stink at Wisconsin because they don't ever throw the ball there. So he was bad at Wisconsin, and he's now the Florida quarterback. And Tennessee marched right down the field after Florida missed a field goal because also, as we learned in the Utah game, Florida can't kick. And so Tennessee takes a 7-0 lead, and then all of a sudden that one defensive back, I'm sure Joe knows him by heart, knows his address, tried to bump the Florida running back instead of tackle him. And he ran into the end zone for a touchdown. And Vol football was back to what Vol football has been this century, which is all broken promises and empty dreams. And I sat there and I watched the game. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Scott Fischel, who was watching this game Saturday wearing Vols gear, even though he went to Texas because his wife is a Vols fan. The things that we do for our loved ones. And he texted me and said, it was always Hendon Hooker. And he was right. It was Hendon Hooker. And I thought that maybe Josh Heupel was the next great guru, that he was like Spurrier or that he was like Chip Kelly. Nope. He is just a guy that had a quarterback like Mark Helfrich had Mariota. And I knew it at the end of the game when Josh Heupel called that timeout like a moron. And I see that they suspended the Florida players for getting in the fight and the Tennessee player for getting in the fight. And honestly, they ought to suspend a Heupel for starting that fight with that timeout. What did he think was going to happen? And so it's right back to Bozo City for the Vols. It was a nice 18 months or however long it was when you had a football program that mattered, but you don't. And I don't know if this Nico kid is the second coming. They're paying him like he is. I have no idea if he's the second coming or not. I remember when Mitch Mustaine was supposed to be the second coming at Arkansas. So I know that sometimes those quarterbacks, they don't always work out when they're good recruits. I got to tell you, it must be depressing to be a Vol fan because you had a taste. You had a taste of what being important again in college football was like last year. And the one bad South Carolina game, now followed by the false hope of Joe Milton because certain writers wrote articles saying that Joe Milton might be Michigan's biggest loss and Tennessee's biggest gain. And it's just, I got to tell you, I mean, it stinks. It stinks for you Vol fans out there, but you're back to being what you are, which is not very good, and you choke in the biggest moments. Hate to say it. That's what you are. The moment of Alabama, I hope you remember.
Are you seriously done?
No. I hope you remember that moment with that cigar after the Alabama game forever because it ain't coming back for a while. Now I'm done.
Spoken like a true bitter Vanderbilt fan. My goodness.
You're more of a Vanderbilt fan than me.
Sure, and I'm a Vols fan, so take a pick. First of all, I agree on the Heupel timeout. That was ridiculous. The fact that you're already taking this to complete knowledge that he's a bozo and it's just over, it's a classic overreaction from you. Classic overreaction from you. Josh Heupel will have other quarterbacks at Tennessee as well, and I suspect he'll get better quarterback play than he's getting so far this year from Joe Milton. So I would pump the
What
brakes
makes
on
you
any.
suspect he's going to get better quarterback play from Joe Milton?
I said he'll get better quarterback play than he's getting so far this year from Joe Milton.
What makes you think that? He's been benched every opportunity that someone's had to bench him because he doesn't give you good quarterback play.
Let me try to speak English to you again, and let's see if you can digest it. Calm down, take a couple breaths. By the way, great math on your part. You're like 18 months. I mean, they beat Alabama less than a year ago, but let's work on your English right now.
I was talking about the whole year after the 21 season began.
While he's the coach at Tennessee, I think he'll probably get better quarterback play than he's getting so far this year from Joe Milton. So I'm talking about in the future. Okay?
Now I understand what you're saying there. Okay, I understand that.
Okay. All right. So we don't need to make sweeping judgments on Heupel and this program and all that. It's, this year is going to be, I think, a disappointing year. I mean, I think that loss to Florida, obviously you'll beat Alabama, Georgia, then fine. Who cares? But it's going to be coming in a little bit lower than a lot of Vols fans hope. But I don't think that you can cast judgment on the program and completely reverse everything. He's done a lot of good things. And, they are recruiting at a high level. They need to figure out some defensive backs. You mentioned Kamal Hadden on that play. That was bad with the bump. Much worse on that play was that Jalen McCullough should have made the tackle at the 8-yard mark and just dove to the right to some patch of grass. I mean, it was just
that was so bad.
Atrocious defensive back play. But, it's not time to start freaking out and over-dramatizing things. But as a Vanderbilt fan, I understand why you're doing it.
I'm not a Vanderbilt fan.
Oh, sure.
I'm not a Vandy fan. I mean, I like Clark. I want Vandy to win, but I'm not like I'm a Louisville fan. And by the way, we're 3-0. I just want everybody out there to know that. Although, we had to have a goal line stand against Indiana, so I'm not sure that I should brag much, but it was not pretty. And we played on we didn't play on Big Ten Network. We played on like the Big Ten Network Overflow channel. So make of that what you will. Caroline, what's next?
All right. Now that we have the basketball Benny in the building, Joe Rexroad.
Woo.
So Tennessee extends Rick Barnes' contract through the 2028 season. Why exactly? Jared, you go first.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why they decided to do that. They're going to extend him so that he's 75, and what it's going to guarantee is more of the same, which means you'll win a lot of regular season games, and you'll get in the tournament, and you'll lose in a white jersey. Just like you lost in a white jersey last year to Florida Atlantic International State. Like, that's going to be what happens at Tennessee because that's what's happened now like 7 years in a row. What this would be if the Titans announced today that they've extended Ryan Tannehill's contract. I think Ryan Tannehill's doing a fine job as the quarterback right now. And I don't think there's anybody better right now to be the quarterback of this team this year. But if you told me that I had to commit to Ryan Tannehill for next year, or I had to commit for Ryan Tannehill for 3 more years, I'd say absolutely not. If Tannehill does something that makes me need to commit to him beyond this year, then I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. And I don't understand why we can't do that with Rick Barnes. Every time that we want to fire one of these college coaches, we're always told, unless it's LSU, Caroline, then they just fire him. But every other school,
gotta win.
We're told like, oh, can't fire him because if we fire him, we owe him $28 million, so we can't fire him. And how do you end up owing these guys $28 million is because you constantly extend their contracts. Rick Barnes is going to be 75 years old at the end of this contract extension. And I keep thinking to myself, if he was doing the same job that he's doing at Tennessee now, which is the same we expect him to do, is anybody going to be jumping up and down to hire a 74-year-old coach who's good enough to get you to the NCAA tournament? Or could you go to Rick Barnes then and say, hey, I know we're paying you $5 million now, but we're going to pay you $4 million. And then you save $1 million? I mean, it's just fiscally irresponsible and unnecessary. And I know they'll say it's for recruiting, but recruiting's all bullcrap anyways because it's all transfer portal and NIL money, and as long as you can pay the players, you get the players. That's it. Crazy talk. Why they did it, it makes no sense to me.
You know, the funny thing is I actually agreed with your unhinged Vanderbilt fan blabbering until the very end. I don't really get it, but, you know, Jared just hit on the last thing, and it's really the only reason you do extensions. But, I mean, extension that far out doesn't really matter. But this idea that, you know, it's just the portal and NIL, well, no. Actually, like, NIL, once it becomes pretty much across the board at any legitimate, serious Power 5 institution, you know, the other factors still matter, and players do want to know who their coach will be, dude. I mean,
Caroline, does any of that matter at LSU?
Winning matters.
Outside of transfer portal and NIL.
I mean, like, the only thing that matters is winning.
But my point is that you won a basketball championship in women's basketball and a baseball championship because of NIL and transfer portal. That's why.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not. Okay. But okay. So do you
look
think
at Dion?
So is LSU baseball and LSU women's basketball, are they recruiting high level prospects out of high school too, Caroline, or no?
Of course.
Right.
I mean, I know Nick Saban has the best recruiting class.
Does recruiting out of high school matter, Jared? Or
no, it does not.
Okay.
Nick Saban, I looked up 24/7 Sports, and Nick Saban still has #1 recruiting classes, and A&M has all these great recruiting classes. And I don't know if you watched Alabama on Saturday. They suck. Like, Alabama, I'm not saying, like, Alabama's bad for Alabama. Alabama is bad, period. And Saban's still recruiting at a high level. The problem is, and he told Pee Wee this on his coach's show a couple of weeks ago, but the problem is that he's losing all these players that he can't develop because they go hit the transfer portal.
So you're saying no, that recruiting high-level prospects out of high school doesn't.
High school recruiting does not matter anymore.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, okay. That's such
I'm sorry. How many
take.
kids did Dion get out of high school at Colorado?
Right. Well, we'll see. You know, Colorado's going to lose some games this year too.
They're
look
going
at
to lose to
Georgia's
Oregon. How did Oregon get its quarterback?
No. I understand that the
How
portal's
did USC get its quarterback?
But I also think that you're ignoring the best team in the country and how they built their roster.
Who is the best team in the country?
That's what I was just getting to.
They're not the best team in the country. Colorado.
Colorado is not the best team in the country. They just went to double overtime with a Colorado State team that stinks. You just want to kiss Dion Sanders on the lips.
Shadeur.
You just said Colorado's the best team?
I was kidding.
Yeah,
but they are the most watchable team.
That is true. They are the most watchable.
Go look at Georgia, the best team in the country, #1 team, the defending national champion. Go look at their last year, the year before. Find me the percentage of players who they got out of high school and the percentage they got. They got a couple guys out of the portal. They can do that. But for the most part, it is high school recruiting that feeds these programs. As the life of these programs that is not going to change. And
what is the one school? What is the school that was dominating recruiting and winning and competing for national championships and has turned their back on NIL in the transfer portal? What school am I talking about?
Clemson.
And what's happened to them?
And guess what?
Look, I think that both.
You know what's happened to them? Exactly. They're not recruiting the high school prospects at the same level at all. Tennessee
flush them down the toilet.
Yeah, okay.
Clemson's done.
You got to be more.
Caroline.
Tennessee does not still have Heath Schuler at quarterback, Jared.
Caroline, who wins?
I mean, Jared, you are on a roll there with the Raiden stuff because, I mean, like, I was talking to D-Mace about this earlier. We were saying, I guess, Dylan Raidens, I guess, looks better than Xavier Newman. And D-Mace said, and he's not very good. So, I mean, look, Dylan Raidens, he's going to be on this roster because I think that they see value in having depth on the offensive line. But Dylan Raidens is what he is, and that's a backup offensive lineman. He is not very good. But this is where you lost me, was the recruiting side of things. Like recruiting out of high school still matters. Like, recruiting out of the transfer portal matters. NIL matters. You bring up LSU baseball, and I think it's a convenient
Well, I didn't
argument.
say NIL didn't matter and the transfer portal didn't matter. I said those things do matter.
I know. All of them matter.
They all matter.
They all matter. Like, I think it's really convenient for people to use the LSU baseball argument when you look at like a Tommy White or
Paul Skeens.
But you know where they got Dylan Cruz? Out of high school. Like, you know where they got Cade Beloso, who hit the game winner against Florida in Game 2? Out of high school. Like, those things all matter. I think there's examples on every single roster of good transfer portal players and good players that you recruited out of high school. The reason why Clemson stinks is because they don't do anything in the transfer portal. And the reason why I don't know if Colorado's going to have sustainable success is because they don't have recruiting at that level next year. Look, maybe you can recruit out of the transfer portal every single year. And if you do, then, like, that's really impressive.
I'm going to tell Coach Prime you don't believe.
And he's going to take that personal.
He might.
Well, hey, beat Colorado State in regulation. Maybe I'll believe. So, with that, Joe wins.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. You don't believe.
Thank
Me and Coach Prime, we're on our own over here.
It's you two against the world.
It is. It really is. Although I'm actually rooting for Oregon this week. Coach Stein versus Coach Prime.
Who?
Will Stein's the offensive coordinator at Oregon.
Oh, yes.
And, I mean, I think if he hangs like 40 on Dion, he may become one of the top coaching candidates in the country. So, I mean, pull for him. So, there you go. Jared versus Joe, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Thank both of you. Absolutely fantastic job. PhD weight loss. That's right. Me and Joe can agree about that because we've both done it. We've both lost a lot of weight on PhD weight loss. I've hit the 30-pound mark, and I am headed towards maintenance, which I'm actually pretty excited about. I love the PhD weight loss program. It's easy. You get your own coach, and they kind of set you up with a plan, and on you go from there. They give you 85% of the food, so you can just get that taken care of for yourself, and you stay on schedule. It's just like football. Stay on schedule. Don't get behind the chains, and you'll be okay. And they've got the guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition online at myphdweightloss.com. Again, that's myphdweightloss.com.
All the big plays.
Touchdown, Tennessee!
All the big stories.
I fully expected DeAndre Hopkins wanting a one-year deal.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee!
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
Such superstar players. The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Real estate investors, get ready for an incredible opportunity. D&M Development is thrilled to announce the Phase 1 presale of 16 non-owner occupied short-term rentals in Nashville's exclusive resort-style community, the New Cumberland. Nestled between Germantown and East Nashville, this exceptional location offers stunning views of the city and the Cumberland River. Each unit features spacious kitchen, 4 bedrooms, and 4 baths, providing the ultimate luxury experience for your guests. Resort-style pools and a wide range of amenities. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment chance. Visit thenewcumberland.com for more information and secure your spot in this extraordinary community.
It's Raymond and Austin. We're back on All-Star Sports Radio. Celebrating their 30th year, our sportsbook and casino sponsor, BetUS.com, is offering a 125% sign-up bonus plus up to 30 risk-free bets.
It's called Bet Protect, the perfect offer for crazy plays, like the famous butt fumble. It's the GOAT of embarrassing plays.
Really, remember when you bet me you could do a live show with a GOAT as your co-host, and he face-kicked you?
Thankfully, I didn't take the under on that one.
Anyway, folks, get Bet Protect today. The industry's biggest 125% sign-up bonus plus up to 30 risk-free bets. BetUS.com, where the game begins.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Ryan, in this league, guys can go from being, the person that everyone wants ridden out of town on a rail one week to the hero the next week. With your experience, does that maybe help you deal with going from the opener to the performance that you turned in on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't ride that wave. I know a lot of people, especially outside the buildings, ride those waves. But personally, take it 1 week at a time, improve on the things that try to improve on the things that you want to each and every week, and go out and play football and not let 1 week roll into the next.
I don't ride that wave. I know all those people outside the building did, but I don't. By the way, Ian, am I wrong for saying that's kind of confirmation the way he said that he definitely heard the noise after the Saints performance?
Well, I think he knew without having to hear the noise that he didn't play very well.
You think Tannehill hears the noise?
Sometimes, a little. Yeah, I think they all hear the noise a little bit.
Hear the noise.
Yeah, a little bit. They got to hear it some.
So, I got a bone to pick here with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill got up, and I want to say his press availability was what, 12 minutes today, 10 minutes today,
13.
something like that?
Yeah,
13 minutes, okay? He got asked all kinds of questions about the Charger game. He got asked about, what was different this week. He got asked about the deep ball to Treylon Burks. He got asked about play action and why it was so successful. He got asked a couple of Browns questions where he talked about how good their defense is or, whether or not he has a relationship with Myles Garrett. But not one time during his media availability this week did Ryan Tannehill say, guys, I've moved on from my really, really, really good performance against the Chargers, and I only want to talk about the Browns. But last week, and I don't feel the need to play the sound from this, I think you guys all remember it. Last week, we asked him about the Saints game, and it was, guys, I'm here to talk about the Chargers. I don't want to talk about the Saints game. I'm not interested in talking about the Saints game. I only want to talk about the Charger game. I can't have it both ways. Now, I've been the biggest defender and supporter of Tannehill this year, and if you listen to this show, you know that. But I'm sitting there listening to Tannehill answer all these questions, and I'm like, man, you can't go 1 week and say, I don't want to talk about the bad game, and then have no problem for 13 minutes to talk about the good game. Where's the consistency there? It kind of makes it look like you're sensitive. It kind of makes you look like a sore loser. Oh, yeah, let's talk about all the good things. I'd love to do that. Let's talk about all the good moments in my life, and let's not talk about any of the bad. This is not a eulogy. It is a press conference. Do you think I'm out of line for thinking that?
Well, I mean, I don't know about out of line, but, these guys, they hear all this stuff. There's a lot. They want to win just as bad as the fans want them to win. So
I do not question Ryan Tannehill's desire to win. I very much think that Ryan Tannehill wants to win. Very much think that. But as far as, we hear all the time about accountability, and we hear about, what does Vrabel always say? No front runners.
It was only 1 week.
I know, but he got up there and he didn't want to talk about it anymore. Like, I don't want to talk about the Charger game or the Saints game anymore.
Well, it was
I don't
already
want to talk about the Chargers.
Well, it was already Wednesday.
What? He didn't have a problem talking about the Charger game today on Wednesday.
Did he talk? I mean, I don't think he was asked that many questions like he was against the Saints game.
He was asked like 3 different questions about throwing the deep ball to Burks.
Okay, well, that was a play that happened in the game.
I asked him one question, or I guess technically 2, about the going for it on 4th down, and did he know he had 2 plays? It was, guys, I don't want to talk about the Charger or about the Saints game anymore. I only want to talk about the Charger game. And then he called him San Diego. Which, again, he can answer his questions however he wants to answer. That's his business. And I had Tannehill's back over that one that blew up about the Malik Willis mentor thing because I thought it was taken out of context. And I even felt bad about it because I was the one who asked the question. But this, I'm sitting there today and I was like, you know what? Like with Tannehill, if I was Tannehill, I would have gone up there and I would have said, hey guys, I'm really proud of the performance that we had as a team on Sunday, but we're not worried about, the good things we did in that game. We're focused on, getting ready for the Browns. And I would have made a point to do that. It's like that scene in The Last Dance where Michael Jordan talks about B.J. Armstrong, and he says a real man talks it when it's even score or when he's behind. It's easy to talk when you're ahead. A real man talks when it's even score or when he's behind. And so with Tannehill, when he got up there today, I was like, is he going to get up there and say, hey, it was a great game, but I'm really ready to move on? Because I would have made a point after what happened last week to say, hey, I've moved on from the good. Just like I moved on from the bad, I moved on from the good. And he didn't do it. And maybe it's a little out of line to feel that way. I don't know. I do feel like it's a little nitpicky of me on Tannehill. But, hey, man, come on now. Texter says, I'm out of line. An athlete must focus on the good to keep him motivated. You have to flush the bad quickly. You show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. That comes from Bear Bryant. I'll say this. Tannehill played with a chip on his shoulder on Sunday. I don't want that chip to go away. I don't want Tannehill to enjoy his success and go back to the way he was playing before that. I want Tannehill to play the way he played on Sunday when everybody in the stadium was getting ready to boo him out of across the river. So I want Tannehill to be like he was last week this week, not the other way around. 615-737-1025. Chris Sanders caught red-handed. That's next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Kentucky from First Bank Stadium. Coverage starts at 9:30 a.m. Kickoff at 11.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hi, this is NFL alumni Tennessee president and former All-Pro linebacker Al Smith. Join me from 1 to 4 p.m. on September 23rd for the Gear Up for Fall event. We will be at St. Luke CME Church, located at 2008 Ed Temple Boulevard in Nashville. There will be music, food, games, health screenings, flu shots, and free NFL alumni giveaways. Adults who are 50 years and older can also get their shingles vaccine. Gear up, Tennessee, and join us on September 23rd.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Veragio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Xander Insurance, because they work for you. Xander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Xander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Xander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Xander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Xandr.com with no characters needed.
Yo, 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 what's up, party people? I'm Julie Foudy.
And I'm Lynn Ozawi.
We host the ESPN podcast Laughter Permitted, where we have candid chats with trailblazing women in sports and beyond.
We've talked with goats like Billie Jean King, Simone Biles, Mia Hamm, Sue Bird, Candace Parker, Michaela Schifrin, just to name a few.
So grab a donut or 500 and check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And a huge shout out to our presenting sponsor, Ally, who has supported us since day one.
It's Laughter Permitted.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I got a bone to pick with you, man.
He's going to hang up. He's going to hang up. Here he goes.
I'm not promising integrity. You said that I said that Tajay Spurs was better than Henry.
You definitely said that.
I said a doggone home run hitter, dang gummit.
You said he was better than Henry, and while Derek talked, I turned and just looked at you in disgust.
Oh, my goodness. If I had my hand, you were right there, I would tackle you, and I would kick you in the kneecap.
Are you going to football practice right now?
Yes.
What time's football practice start at NBA?
3:15.
Okay, well, listen to the next segment because we will investigate your claims. There you go. That was Chris Sanders earlier today on the program. And Chris Sanders said he had a bone to pick with us. That he said, I said Tajay Spears was better than Derrick Henry. And I said that because on Sunday morning, he did, in fact, say that during the award-winning pregame show. And so we dug up the evidence, and I contend that we caught Chris Sanders red-handed. Here's what happened Sunday morning on the pregame show and a discussion of who is the best player on the offense.
I think he's the best. I don't think he's the best player on that offense.
Who's best?
I think he's the most consistent player on that offense. I think, to me, the best player on that offense, and this is why I feel they got to find a way to use him. The best player on that offense can be Treylon Burks. That's the best player on that offense.
Okay, so for starters, I completely disagree with what Derek said about Treylon Burks, too. I mean, I like Treylon Burks fine, but he's not the best player on the offense. But you heard right there when I said, who's better? And Chris Sanders said, Spears. So then we played that cut, and Chris Sanders, sometimes I don't understand how Joe and Caroline think the things that they think during Jared versus Joe. But that's one thing. I said, who's better than Derrick Henry? And he said, Spears. And I immediately turned and looked at him like, you have lost your freaking mind. Chris Sanders heard that audio at 3:06 today and said, LOL, thank you very much. I won my case. Best player on the field, home run hitter.
Well, Spears hasn't hit a home run yet.
I mean, do you count that one touchdown run for like 30 yards in the Viking preseason game?
No.
So then no. Spears has not hit a home run.
He might be a home run hitter, but he hasn't left the field yet. So
Chris Sanders caught red-handed. He said Tajay Spears was better than Derrick Henry, and he should be shamed for that opinion. Now, apparently Nick Folk won AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. And
way to go, Ackerman.
Yeah, and somebody just tweeted me. And they said, what'd they say? They tweeted me and said, Jared Stillman still can't give him the game ball because he is married to his takes that he can't admit. I mean, Folk hit from 33 and 41.
He should have got the game ball.
Over Kearis Jackson's return?
Yes.
No! Now, if we were going to make it about the first 2 weeks, then I would have given it to Folk. But it's not. It's about the Charger game. And those punts from J.K. Scott were hard to field, and that set up the field goal was that great return by Kearis Jackson. Kearis, you earned your game ball. That's it for us. We're out of here. We'll be at the Sounds tomorrow night. Get excited for that. Stillman and Company. We'll, of course, see you tomorrow, too.